USAA Insurance. Making insurance easy is our duty. Eligibility restrictions apply. Insurance provided by United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
The major is around the corner.
Here it comes. The Giants, the Titans.
The best player in the world.
It is going to be one hell of a tournament.
This was just absolutely insane.
This is the COD League.
One of the craziest sequences I've ever seen in my life.
Looking unbeatable. Oh my God! What is this?
They're flawless. I can't wait. This is going to be a blast.
The honeymoon period is over.
They continue on. This is just disgusting.
It is do or die time.
Today starts the last home series of the 2021 regular season. Seattle will play host as teams fight for the final positioning for both Major 5 and Champs. Now, the Subliners were a team we all thought was primed to make a run, but things have changed as they have fallen to a 0-3 record and DiamondCon replaces world champion Clayster today. Now let's actually take a quick look at the champ bracket because, of course, a title is what this is all about and this is what we know. FaZe is the #1 seed and Røkkr, that is literally all we know at this point. You can see the bracket has not been filled in whatsoever, but the rest will be decided in the matches that are about to take place. And you can see right now, actually, the championship weekend is going to be absolutely incredible. It consists of a winners bracket, elimination bracket, and this is what we are fighting for here, guys. Now you can see the seeding as well on the left as well. And we also have the CDL points, which are going to feed into those seeds on the left of the champ bracket here. So obviously Atlanta FaZe being right at the top of the board, very close to 500 points, which is pretty ridiculous in this regular season. Ultra trailing behind there, quite a few points behind. Dallas obviously with that battle with Ultra for that second seed, only 5 points separating these two teams here, which is going to be absolutely incredible. But I think the one thing to note as well, you can see Subliners, OpTic, right underneath one another. With this change to the New York Subliners, my question is really about OpTic and can they actually keep this momentum going to potentially bump up that leaderboard just a little bit more before this regular season is over. Now actually, we need to talk of course about Clayster. It's been a bit of a shock this week to a lot of people with what Clayster has actually taken to Twitter to say. He actually did release a statement, just need a break from it all. I'm sure you have all seen that I haven't been myself in quite some time. I need to take a step back and get myself straight mentally. Got to take care of yourself over everything. And I don't plan on this being for good, but I hope the boys crush it. Now, obviously, this is a bit of a shocking kind of process that has been taking place in the New York camp here.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this team does. New York obviously kind of was built on the stepping stone of Clayster. Clayster has been really kind of pushing these boys in this team to be better. I think from the beginning of the season, after interviewing him countless times, after countless wins, of course, got to give where credit is due. You know, one of the things that really stood out to me was the way that Clayster kind of had been the father to a lot of these guys on his team. You know, he had said it was a work in progress. This team needed to really focus on certain aspects, certain things, and the teamwork needed to be there. That was the big thing. The teamwork was the way that this New York team really kind of stuck it to the rest of the league. Now, with that gone, that's going to be very interesting. Obviously, DiamondCon coming on here. Asim's going to have to step up in a really big way. And I think all season, Clayster's kind of had Asim as that secondary leader there, obviously with the SMG. Now, I do have Stud with me. Stud, New York, obviously, you're a big fan. It's no secret. Not having Clay on this team right now, it's pretty devastating, I think, in terms of New York fans and in terms of the team dynamic heading into this latter part of the season. But where do you think it stands in terms of New York? How do you think they're going to cope with this change?
Well, I think it's going to be really difficult for New York because this is their go-to guy. This is a 3-time world champion. Obviously, when you're putting all your cookies into a basket, you want that guy to go in there and just make things happen. And unfortunately, things are not working out right now. Obviously, the whole situation happened with them at stage 4. Asim wasn't able to make it through to that LAN event due to some visa issues, and then everything after that just continued to fall down, man. You see Clayster, even in these videos, he's starting to get hype, and I feel like we haven't seen this Clayster in a really long time. I'm pretty sure when you're looking at this, it's from stage 3, because these are just great matches. Every single match, doesn't matter who he was playing against, the guy's roaring. He's getting his young teammates involved, and it's just beautiful to see. But as of recent, when you talk about with New York, 0-3 so far throughout stage 5. They haven't really seen a lot of success in their hard points, which used to be their best game mode. It just hasn't been clicking for them. So the change, I don't feel like it was the right one, but it probably was the right move to make it this right time.
Definitely. I think this, this is a huge piece of this team missing right now at this point. How do you think that really impacts New York's chances at the championship and the hopes there that potentially they could take it? They could have taken it in this part of the season. How does that impact it?
Well, this could be good or bad for New York. On the good in the sense that now that Clayster's out, Diamondcon is going to be coming in. There's not really a drastic change in that role because Diamondcon is going to also be an AR, but also just the high energy that this team has had. I feel like we haven't seen these guys get hype in such a long time. When you're looking at those player cams, they're all just looking down. So this might be that change that they needed to bring new vibes, new energy to the team. But on the bad side of this, I feel like they're losing out on their leader, man. And now they have to find out who's going to be that player to step up. And I'm really looking at a player like Asim because he's the one with the most veteran status on this roster, man. He's going to have some huge shoes to fill in now that Clayster's not going to be here. So far throughout stage 5, he's sitting at a 0.88, but on the season he's at a 0.98. And now that Clayster's not here, this guy's going to have to step up. He needs to be out there controlling the ship, coordinating the plays, and if he can do that, then I'll be really excited to watch what this team can do, because sometimes the best move is the move that nobody decides to make. And just hopefully New York can show me something today with this new roster.
I do too, and I think Asim will honestly fill those shoes well in terms of the leadership role. I think he has been that leader for the SMG duo. He's kind of led HyDra in that, and obviously Clay's led the AR and the overall team. And I think this could work. It could work, but I do think that their chances at that championship are going to be very, very difficult at this point in time. Now, with that being said, I really do hope and wish Clayster well. I hope the rest of the team well as they go forward in this season. We showed you the bracket, folks. Now it's time to show you the CDL points and where things are standing, just to clear things up for you guys. Obviously, it's a numbers game at this point in the season, and really, like I said previously, it is a battle for that second seed between Ultra and Empire, and a battle for 6th between Røkkr, Mutineers, and Thieves. That's another thing to note there. You can see 200, 200 there, and Minnesota Røkkr above them, all with 20 points. Now, OpTic appear to be in position for the number 5 seed in Champs and the number 1 seed in Group A. So should that win that OpTic had over FaZe convince you that they could potentially contend for a title right now?
Oh, I'm 100% convinced that OpTic can contend for a title, man. Just getting over that hump finally. They couldn't beat FaZe the entire year. 0-3, could barely win maps versus these guys. And then in that series that they recently just played a couple days ago, OpTic just looked like a totally different team, man. Confidence through the roof. And the entire year when we were talking about OpTic, we talked about them as a top 5 team in the game that tend to struggle with some of the best teams in the game, such as FaZe, such as Ultra, sometimes even New York. But recently, they have just been putting in the work in their practice like they have been all year, and it's finally showing into their gameplay. I feel like OpTic are just playing with a bunch of confidence in their game, and it's going to be really difficult to shut these guys down because they're hitting this perfect form at such a great time. And with only 2 tournaments remaining, I feel like OpTic have a great shot at least taking one of them.
You know what? I completely agree with everything you said there, Stud. I think when you jump into a series against FaZe, you can't be average. You can't play it safe. You've got to play up to their level. You've got to play smarter, harder, more aggressive, pressurized. It's a lot to be able to really contend with this team. And if you want to win, you have to take risks. Now, OpTic for me, took the perfect risk and reward ratio. God, that's a tongue twister, that is. And I thought they played with like the confidence, like you said. They looked so damn good. They had their number from the start, and I was really, really surprised, but pleasantly surprised to see them pull away in that series and have a win there. I'm really hoping that they can keep this train going forward to champs, keep it steamrolling. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, you're probably wondering what is coming your way today. Well, don't worry, I haven't got just today covered. I've got the whole week for you. You can get your calendars out, get your alarms set, because we have our Seattle home series scheduled for you, presented by the US Army. So first up today, we've got New York Subliners taking on Paris Legion, and later on, London Royal Ravens face OpTic for a pretty big match to see if OpTic can keep this going, and London Royal Ravens hopefully don't spoil their day. And then Friday, Florida Mutineers versus Toronto Ultra, Seattle Surge versus Dallas Empire. Then we keep the weekend rolling. We have 3 games per day. Our standout ones here, of course, Saturday, Game Fuel marquee match, LA Thieves versus OpTic, a really big battle there. And Sunday, T-Mobile 5G weekly drop, Subliners versus FaZe, and our Game Fuel marquee match, Ultra versus Empire. Some bangers coming your way this week, folks.
Bangers.
Bangers. Well, coming up after the break, we start your day off with a new look New York, battling against a salty Paris Legion. Lano and Studdy will be with you right after this.
Presented by USAA Insurance. They make it easy to insure your stuff like rigs and gear, and they have your back. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by ActiveStat, the next generation analytics platform built with Google Cloud that brings fans, players, and commentators the power of competitive statistics in real time. Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
Hi everybody and welcome, as it is day number 1 of our Seattle home series, and what a day it will be. It is our final week, our final home series of regular season play, still with Stage 5 Major and those playoffs still coming, with those things looming. You thought the storylines may start to, diving out a little bit, may start to dilute itself, but no, that is not at all the case. Lano and Studdy guiding you guys through the action as we dive into our first series, NYSL taking on the Paris Legion. Instead, all eyes on New York today.
Oh, yeah, definitely all eyes on New York, man. Clayster not playing, this is going to be insane to watch, man, because you're usually watching New York to see what Clayster can do, how he can round up the troops, but now he's not here. So Diamondcon is going to have some big shoes to fill in. Asim's going to have to step up in that leader role because they're going up against a Paris team who are coming off of a great win versus the Thieves, man. So Paris are trying to play spoiler to everyone's seed, and New York trying to keep up in that seeding department for a better seeding at Champs. This is going to be a great matchup to start the day.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. As we said, a lot of storylines kind of coming into this match. New York trying to hold on. Paris trying to elevate themselves coming into that major. But as we said, the absence of Clayster now has the team respond. Diamondcon in his very first series since the Stage 2 Major. It is going to be a very exciting match to see how this team now debuts again. Let's go and meet the roster, your New York Subliners.
First blood, he just jumps on in. A flurry of kills through. Mack, though. Mack gets 3. What a second half of the hardpoint he has. Nails all 4. The 8 for Big Mack. Upward timing. He gets flushed out. But Asim and Mack, that crossfire so good. Asim, oh, give it to him. Takes down the entire side of FaZe.
Just an efficient work right now. As HyDra PAs the entire team straight in front of him, gets a couple shots now. Look how much he just slows them down.
Can he get the defuse player? He does. 23 seconds left on the clock. One more to deal with for Clay. This would be massive.
And there you have it, your New York Subliners, a new roster, as we mentioned, with Clayster having a leave of absence for the moment. And I think you guys covered it very well at the start of the show study. You talked about, the absence of Clay, how that now kind of sets things up, the questions that now come upon this roster, certain players who had to step up, Diamondcon now being back in the lineup. And I guess the question I'll ask you is, how do you react if you are a Subliners player, given the fact that you're coming into this series, you're probably a little bit shaken up after, obviously the Clayster released. How do you come into the series now?
Well, if you're one of these rookies, man, this one's difficult to take in because basically your leader quit on you. And that's something you usually don't see. It's like LeBron quitting on the 2006 Cavaliers. Like, that just doesn't happen. So now if you're one of these new rookies, obviously you're not going to have, especially like a player like HyDra, you're not going to have that father figure, the guy that's going to know every single situation, the guy that's going to call the play calls all the time. And you're just going to have a lot of confidence in him because he's a 3-time world champion. So it's going to be a little different now because now this is basically a roster full of straight rookies, Asim being the guy with the most amount of experience here. And I think they're just going to go into this series and just whatever happens, happens. Like, they're just going to go in there and they're just going to try to play with the amount of practice that they have. They probably have like 2 or 3 days worth of it and just try to make the best of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to try to make the best of what they have given this kind of questionable period right now. And one team who's hoping to continue to spoil all the fun for teams that are going to be attending that playoffs toward the end of the year is this next roster. They came in and stunned us when they took down the LA Thieves. And we had a nice little post-game interview where Tip's like, hey, you know what? Nothing is more dangerous than a team who has nothing to lose. Let's go ahead and meet the roster. Can they do it again? Your Paris Legion.
Wonderful start here for Paris Legion. Paris Legion just about pushed that player off the hard point.
Just can they clutch up and go big?
Classic just being aggressive in the lane.
Temp just takes him to Pound Town. What a play from Temp.
Here comes Aqua from the top rope.
Oh, Paris Legion, get it done.
Well, Paris Legion started off stage 5 in more of a down way. They go 0-2 to start off versus some top caliber teams, and now off the win versus Thieves. This game actually means a lot for them in regards to seeding a win today, and I believe a Thieves loss, along with a few other things going their way, and Paris very well could make the winner's bracket coming into the major.
That would be insane, man, because obviously when you start 0-2, you're not expecting winner's bracket, but that matchup versus the Thieves was huge. They lost that first hard point by at least 20 points, but then they destroyed them in the control and then destroyed in the map 4. So this team's confidence, like you said, Temp in that interview, you said momentum is nothing better than a team that's scary, that you just don't know what you're going to expect out of. So that's what Paris needs to do today. But let's just hop right into our keys to victory for Paris. Build off of that win versus the Thieves. Carry that momentum into this series versus a struggling NYSL team. Scraps also needs to dominate because in the series versus the Thieves, he had a 1.2, and he is just that guy that can take over games for the Paris Legion. And then Temp also having one of his best stages so far. He needs to be great versus a new roster in New York, in Search and Destroy specifically. He's sitting at a 2.0 KD when he's winning and at a 0.67 when he's losing. So if you're Temp, you just got to go out there and just play the game the way that you do, because that matchup when they played the Thieves went all the way down to a 6-5, and I'm pretty sure he had chopsticks to hold the team down. So they're going to need to make sure that they keep those keys to victory in their back of their minds.
Without a doubt. You see all Paris players getting hyped, bobbing their heads a little bit, ready for the match. But now our game fuel keys to victory here for the New York Subliners. First one, Diamondcon needs to come back swinging. So far throughout his rookie year, and as we said, last time we saw him was at that stage 2 major, a 1.01 overall KD throughout his year. Also, Asim's role now gets extended. Not only is he expected to be great vocally, but also now does need to improve the overall KD so far throughout this stage. Stud sits at a 0.88, and then finally cannot continue to struggle this much in hardpoint. Again, for a team that relied so much on this mode, they are 2-8 in their last 10, and well, we talk about hardpoint constantly with the Subliners. Again, game 1. How important is this, I guess you could say, Stud, for the rest of this Subliners group, as it will be Garrison to start off? How important is that Garrison for this New York team's confidence?
Oh, well, Garrison is going to be a great map for both of these teams because I'm pretty sure that's Paris's best hardpoint. They're sitting at 7-7 in the season. But for New York, on their confidence on that map, number one, it's going to be huge because you're coming in off of that roster change. Your leader's not going to be here. So now it's all about just making sure you're playing the game correctly, making sure that the practice that you put in on the backside, you're able to transition it into here to come out hot for this New York team because they need to build some momentum, man. This is a young team. These guys don't really have a ton of experience. So getting that first map underneath their belt will hopefully drive them to have that energy to go on through the rest of the series.
Absolutely. We constantly stress the game 1, how important that is, and really for New York, a mode that they've been, I believe, very reliant on throughout a majority of this year. They have lost their last 7 game 1 hardpoints in a row. And we talk about in this moment, Stud, you're looking at leadership to kind of get you through positions like this. And I know with Asim being, I think this is his 3rd official year in competitive professional play, obviously leads this team, because when you actually add up all the years combined for all of these 4 players in the Subliners, it equals out to 7 years of competitive experience.
Still not more than Clay.
Clayster himself has 13 years of competitive experience at the highest level. We'll see if the Subliners, despite all the odds and despite the roster change, despite the absence of their veteran, their captain, that will make all the difference. As here we go for Garrison.
Yeah, some early action in towards Garrison. You're going to see Paris spawning on the backside as well. Not trying to flip the spawn, but do a good job at just getting a chunk of time off of this P1 hardpoint. Able to pick up kills left and right. And one play that I really want to focus on, at least in this series, is just DiamondCon, because this is a guy who's filling some pretty big shoes in a player like Clayster. So he needs to try to go big for his team.
I guess for people who hadn't really seen, as HyDra is able to take down 3 straight, a lovely sequence there for him. I guess, I mean, how much pressure do you think is on DiamondCon's shoulders? I mean, from his perspective, again, he's coming into this team. You know, it is a last-second thing. I mean, do you think that he feels the pressure of the situation, or is it a matter of like, hey, you know what? I wasn't even expected to be on this team. Now I'm kind of driven here. What do you think that kind of lies right now for Diamond?
Yeah, I don't think the pressure is there at all, because this is something that he wasn't expecting. There's no way you expect Clayster, the leader of this team, to just bench himself, and just because he wasn't, you know, having the performances that he wanted to, wasn't really seeing the kind of success that he's usually starting to see at this time of year. He decides to just put himself on the bench, try to let the young guys go out there and perform to the best of their ability. So I feel like DiamondCon has no pressure. He just has to come out and do what he does best, is the reason why New York picked him up in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately for Mack, starting off 0-4. Meanwhile, in the score column, it is Paris off to a kicking start, 53-20, and those final 20 seconds look to be going their way as well. As Scraps continues to win fights through a middle, Stud, he was so great, as we mentioned, and their last victory they had versus the Thieves had a 1.2. And I feel like so often throughout this Legion year, we've talked about if certain players can go off. Specifically, we know the talent that a player like Scraps has. He goes off, and the team oftentimes sees quite a bit of success.
Yeah, and the thing about Scraps is this is a guy for Paris Legion who has switched his role multiple times throughout the year. The guy was going from submachine gun, picks up the flex, might go main AR sometimes. Like, the guy could just do it all. But he has found some comfort with this assault rifle in his hands, as Zaptius is able to get 4 and pick up that multi-kill for his team to relieve that pressure from New York. Now spawning all the way across the map. Paris Legion, off the first 2 hills, at least the first 3 hills, perfect rotation to that P2, and so far, perfect rotation to P3. They're just looking like a more complete team right now than New York, as New York still spawning across the map. This is going to be difficult. They just have to focus off the rotation now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a scary start to your opening hardpoint, as we said, for NYSL. I mean, you stressed it very well, Stud, at the start of the series. Hey, this opening hardpoint is very important for this Subliners team, given the confidence, given how shaky Stage 5, given how shaky hardpoint has been, and now staring at what is potentially going to be around a 100-point deficit just through 3 hills. That is not good to see by any means, as Diamond finally is able to get a few on the board, nearly makes it 2. By the time Subliners wipe the board of the Legion, and boy, could they use this time.
Yeah, they need to try to get it. They're just not picking up any kills. Scraps is still in a position to try to cause some problems, with Max able to find him. New York still having the green spawns as well. They're just not able to put some time on the clock. You see the pressure from Paris already out towards dark. They already have good steps control, but here comes HyDra trying to set up this pinch, able to take down one, trying to take down the second, but that's going to be now 3 dead. Last player on this point is going to be Asim. And once he gets taken care of, Paris Legion once again have control.
Paris Legion continue to rain down terror, 128 to 41. Subliners in a world of hurt, at least so far, based off this first set of rotations. And we talked about constantly, how would the communication sound with this new group? Asim now stepping up even more as that vocal leader, given the deficit that they face. Let's go to an Astro listening to New York Subliners.
I need it out, I need it out.
I went up dark, I went up dark.
One more, he's out.
One was it, one was it.
One back. I don't see him now, I don't see him now.
Child time. L corner.
Here, I can child time.
One shot, L corner, hop down.
Dead. Give me bricks on me, guys.
Kill, hold me too.
I'm sorry, bro. Yo, bricks on me, guys. I'm coming. I'm staying down.
I have bricks.
Yeah, I'm watching March. I'm March.
Back bricks.
Yeah, just broke. Arch dead. I'm living.
It could be out.
I'm still full watching time. I can't see anything. Arch again. Time. Arch. Fine. Set up for P1. I'm wrapping mid right now, Matt. I'm gonna get your lights for you.
Okay, keep looking at it. They can go green.
I have lights right now. Could go mid, guys. See that?
Green. Left.
I need a green. Green. They might back up.
One shot up green. These two there.
I'm watching lights. I'm watching green right now.
I'll go pick up mid.
Nothing settle green. We have lights control, right?
Well, no, I think so. Yeah, one's dark.
Top green.
Yeah.
Top green.
I spawned out deep. One's pushing up right.
It
was that mid.
Nice.
Let's
go. Push out. Left lights.
Oh.
I'm going to raise. It's fine. Get us time. We're fine. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap your mid. I'm gonna go right now. Alright, Deep tank, Aqua. And once in P5. Okay, Aqua, then P5. Aqua, deep tank, P5.
I drop mid.
Nice, guys. I got time.
We're going after.
All right, well, Stud, did you hear what you needed to hear out of Subliners?
Yeah, it felt like there wasn't one player that was mainly stepping up in that lead role. I felt like everyone was giving their comms when they needed to, and this is great because usually don't see that. So the energy is going to be there for New York. They did a great job on that P5 hard point to put themselves back into this game, and they were able to chain it to this P1. So now they're only down by 50 points. Now they have to focus off the rotation. As you see a couple Paris players picking up a couple kills. That's going to be 3 down on the side of New York, but HyDra, he's able to sneak through. HyDra's going to have a big rotation gunfight versus aBeZy here shortly.
Yeah, major fight for him to possibly win. Mantles on the box and wins it regardless. He and Mack combined for 2, but it is an all-out headbutt toward P2. A huge hill for Legion to extend their lead, and maybe one for the Subliners to dig this deficit back. You see Asim locking down the point. He will buy enough time for his teammates to come off of spawn, and they're winning the fights that they have to right now. Stud Zapti is the only player inside of the point. He drops, and just like that, Subliners, from what was a 90-point deficit, are slowly beginning to bring this one back. A good moment here for the time for them, but how great was HyDra to set up that play and give his team even a chance at the start of that P2?
HyDra was great, man. That huge one-on-one versus aBeZy is basically one in the rotation, so now they have to focus off the rotation to P3. They did a good job at just getting back into this game with the full setup. The only thing is Paris able to flip these spawns with about 30 seconds left. They weren't going to put the pressure on because they know this can be a full 60 hold. So you're going to see Zaptius in towards top green. He knows there's going to be a couple players trying to rotate out of this. Able to take down one, going to challenge the second as well. Able to take down 2. And just keep in mind, number 7 on the Paris Legion is Aqua. He was consistently blocking those spawns. There's so much pressure right now in the middle of the map for the Paris Legion, and New York are not even getting close. This is basically what they did on the first rotation, and so far this has been the answer second time around.
Yeah, an answer, a much needed reply from the Legion, and obviously if you're in their camp, this is a hill where you're thinking confidence-wise, you've got to hold. You cannot allow for these to go the opposite direction, as that will be 3-4 down there for the Subliners, as Temp looks to try and heat on up. He's had such a great stage 5 so far, by far his best stage to date. He'll look to try to lead this team, not just in slang, but also in the vocals, in those listenings. As it will be Legion reaching that double century mark now toward bottom tank. Subliners, do they have what it takes to try to bring this one back again? Down by 60. Asim finds himself on that 3 spree, finally drops, and it's a big fight that Aqua wins in the hill.
Yeah, so now Paris Legion, they find 3 kills. They were able to flip those spawns, and now New York are getting the bad spawns. Paris Legion can close it out here. They can hold a good chunk of time on this. New York all spawning out towards back P3. They just need to open up an engagement. They need to open up with the first kill. Unfortunately, Temp is going to play spoiler as he flanks to the backside of the bad spawn. It's something you usually don't see. That's going to be 3 dead. Last guy, HyDra. Spawns are going to be flipped. So New York on the favorable side now, but with 25 seconds left on this hard point, Paris can still close it out here. New York have to try to contest it.
They have to contest it for at least 1 second, and that may do it. Based off the score, Paris will not be inside of the hill. So they have bought themselves, if you're Subliners, another hard point. But again, just take a look at that scorecard stud. It's not an easy sell to say that, oh yeah, Subliners easily. You don't have the opportunity to bring this one back. When you're Paris, you're looking at what, just 20 more seconds before this one is done. Granted, you are wiping away a few players toward middle map. You're doing a great job at getting that necessary map pressure. We'll see how long they can hold on to this one for. Asim leading the charge toward the front side of those Legion spawns. As he finally drops, there goes DiamondCon as well, and that very well could be the lane that Legion have been waiting for. Back-to-back headshots. Now here they go, forcing their way into the point.
Yeah, now Paris, they're able to get through bricks, so now they can fight for top green control. So eventually set up this pinch, and that's exactly what Temp is faking as he drops down from the bridge. Only able to take down 1 DiamondCon with the trade, but still enough pressure from Paris Legion onto this point. HyDra's able to pick up 3 in the kill feed, and now he's picking up some streaks. New York, they did a great job last time around when they chained this P5 to that P1. So with HyDra picking up those streaks, they can keep those in the back pocket for P2, and only being down 60 points, you're not really mad if you're in the NYSL camp right now.
Yeah, like I said, those streaks could come through huge. You already notice Mack, despite not having a great game, sits at 10 and 23. He is thinking long term, but how long can he stay alive for as Paris swarm over at that P2, knowing that next rotation will be in their grasps. Could this be done from New York? As we said, start off this game down by a good 90, maybe even 100 seconds. They've started to crawl this one back, and specifically, it's been off the back of the Frenchman, 30 and 19. HyDra doing everything he can to try and delay for as long as possible, but as that break comes on in, now within 5 seconds are the Legion from calling this game one theirs. HyDra, in a moment of desperation, they do flip the spawns. If he can find a few kills here, how big could that be? Simp wins a major fight toward top green. And with that in mind, again, if you're Subliners, you have so much to handle right now. You're thinking about spawns, you're also thinking about the current point, but now Mack takes down another, and Paris are in the back of their spawns. Subliners are prepared for next. Somehow, some way, Stud, NYSL are keeping themselves alive.
NYSL, they can do it. They can close it out here. You would have liked to keep that streak in your back pocket just in case things got a little scary here, but they just have so much pressure on the map right now. Asim still staying alive, picking up a couple kills in towards top green. Eventually, these spawns are going to flip, so now the pinch is going to come in from breaks. New York just need to get one hold. One clean, 3 to 4 dead. Trades going back and forth, and HyDra still finds himself in a position to take down 2. Going to be able to take down the 3rd as well. Now it's all on Aqua. From Paris Legion, he's going to be the closest player pushed up. He knows he has to try to play his life, but New York are picking up every single kill. They might be able to do this.
It looks like it could be possible. Again, nobody in the point in YSL. Now within 10 Legion as the game quickly begins to be tied. HyDra staying alive inside of green. Finally drops on the 6 spree, but has he bought his teammates enough time? And he will in YSL after being down 90 plus points. Bring back this game in one of the best that we've seen all season long. So after the first set of rotations, it was looking dire. I mean, it was looking bad. And I think even Legion were thinking about that game 2 S&D already. But how about the plays late from NYSL? Specifically, how about the plays from HyDra? Absolutely takes over in the later stages of that game. And as we said, Stud, how important that game 1 was for confidence in the Subliners, it does not get much better than that.
It definitely doesn't, man. New York just did such a great job at P5 to P1. They were able to chain it not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that's something you usually don't see with a team that's coming off of that roster swap. And I was just really worried about just who was going to be able to drive the sheep. When HyDra used that streak in that moment, I thought that was going to come back to bite him. But it just relieved the pressure on his teammates from that point being contested a little bit. And then off the rotation, New York, they do a great job at just keeping the spawns, making sure they're keeping the pressure up on the mini-map. You saw Asim still keeping control of top green, and then eventually they flip it. They know if they get a nice clean four dead at least one time, they should be able to close it out. And for New York, with this young team, man, that's got to be some momentum on their side after that one.
It absolutely has to be, as again, we'll take a look at the final moments, but there's so many little situations here for HyDra where he goes big, just stays alive with the most minute amount of health, the most limited amount of HP. Subliners crawl back and manage to take this first hard point, without a doubt deserving of our USAA coverage moment. The Subliners will claim game one as theirs. Now, how does that search and destroy look? Has this team found some confidence as Asim is getting loud right now for the boys? When we come back, it is game two, search and destroy on Moscow.
The Call of Duty League is presented by the US Army. What's your warrior? Presented by USAA. Getting insurance with USAA is easier than level 1. Learn more at usaa.com/insurance.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are in the midst of a phenomenal series. NYSL answer big in our opening game one, a hard point on Garrison. Down a good 90 to 100 seconds, but they bring themselves back. So we got to take a look at stage 4 to stage 5 so far for the Subliners. It hasn't been great, man. It really hasn't been great so far. You see all the numbers taking a significant dip.
Yeah, it just hasn't been good, man. They go through stage 4, face that adversity where Asim's not able to make it to the major. Then obviously when they started off stage 5, it's going to be really difficult to just get back on track to what this team was before. And they've just really been struggling ever since stage 5 has started. Obviously the whole thing with Clayster just putting himself on the bench is not going to help either, but I don't know. It's just been real hard for New York, and at least that's a good first map to start this series for them.
Yeah, at the very least, as we said, they end that what was going to be nearly an 8-game series drought in a row of losing that starting hard point. They finally are able to right the wrongs there. Well, folks, our Game 2 Search and Destroy is moments away, but first, a quick word from our sponsor.
We made USAA insurance for renters who make the most of their space and money. That's why we make it easy to cover the stuff you love for as little as 33 cents a day. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
Alrighty, so as we mentioned, my friend, the Search and Destroy is going to be big, really, for both of these teams. As we pull up our quick scope presented by Scump, it's really been, a good season, I guess you could say, for Subliners, all things considered. Search and Destroy at times can be one where you're changing rosters consistently. They've still managed to be somewhat consistent, 26 and 23. On the other side for Paris, not as good. Not as good.
Yeah, it hasn't been that game mode for Paris, but you got to keep in mind they were able to win a 6-5 versus the Thieves last week, so their S&D has to be feeling a little bit more confident. But for New York, obviously they have the positive record, and they're also going to be going on Moscow. And on Moscow for New York, they're sitting at 2-5. For Paris, they're at 1-3. So these teams are basically going to be evenly matched up. It just all depends on what New York, what strategies they're going to be able to bring, because we saw them play this versus the Thieves. It was all about the rotation, cutting through the middle of the map, playing a little slow in situations, but when they stepped up the aggression is when they started to see success. So hopefully that's exactly what they're able to do here versus Paris as well.
And I want to ask you too, like kind of more on topic with the Subliners right now, kind of given the conversation around this team. You know, you and I had the cast where they unfortunately did lose to the London Royal Ravens. What kind of sparked, I guess, if you will, the kind of madness around the team. And when they came into that standoff, we were talking about how, you know, Search and Destroy has not been good for them, but they come into that standoff game too, a mode that at the time Ravens were great at, and they 6-0 them. Like, what has been the highs and the lows? What has caused the peaks and the valleys, I guess you could say, with this Subliners team? And what needs to be different now with DiamondCon?
Well, obviously someone needs to step up in the play calling column, and that has to be Asim. But also, even when Clayster was on this roster, there was one thing that made me frustrated from being a former pro player and just watching them play was just the giving up your life for free. Like, they have man advantage in certain situations, but someone is going to go out there and try to make an ego challenge, just make the round a lot more difficult. So now that Clayster isn't here, you have to make sure that you're improving in that element, because the top teams, they're going to be able to capitalize on it. And versus a team like Paris, who at least have some recent success in Search and Destroy, they can capitalize on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. Moscow S&D now prepared for our game 2. Again, start off, the opening hard point was truly madness. And Moscow S&D maybe live up to the hype, live up to the expectations that we now hold for it after having, again, one of the best hard points that we've seen all season long. As we said, New York coming into this 1-4 in S&D. The other side for Paris, 1-2. However, as you mentioned, Stud, Paris off a nice round 11 dub versus the LA Thieves on a raid S&D, and we will be taking a look through the eyes of the Legion to start this one off. And really, it was stage 4 when Zaptius gets added to this team, and that's really where S&D kind of took off for the Legion as well, Stud.
Yeah, because Zaptius, he's that S&D player that is coming from the S&D scene, so he's going to know a lot of situational plays. And once you pick this guy up, he's going to be able to improve your S&D gameplay just because of the way that he plays, man. And he's able to pick up a kill right there. And so far, Paris Legion, they have the man advantage, and they are completely catching New York off guard as the rotation is going to come in towards A. 2v3 situation with about 45 seconds left. Paris Legion are going to have the advantage.
They're going to be planning with the side that New York will look to try and attack from. Again, HyDra and DiamondCon a man down. Does he spot the shoulder of Aqua? Attempt the first one to spot at least one as DiamondCon drops. Now it's all on to HyDra. Put some lead into the first, but Paris overall claiming that man advantage to start. They found the early 2 picks, and they utilized their numbers correctly as NYSL fall in the opportunity for a retake.
Yeah, so Paris, they just came out early. They opened up with that first blood, and eventually they won the trade battle. Zaptius was able to find the second. So then at that point, you have New York just thinking, hey, they're definitely going to go B. There's a lot of action going on over there, but Paris just hit the rotation, get a free bomb plan, and eventually play their numbers advantage. So Paris walk away with the first. So now New York on the attack. And this is where I want to see what New York is going to be able to bring here, because Clayster's usually the guy that's jumping over this wall, so DiamondCon's just going to be able to fill his role there. So it all depends on when they decide to attack this, because you're paying attention to Asim. He's going to be that guy that's basically the island player. He's going to try to get a good timing on this flank. But so far, New York just playing slow. HyDra able to spot one, and hopefully they're able to solo this guy out.
Nice little bank shot there with the stun as HyDra. And Zaptius will be thinking for the future. Tosses down the trophy for good measure. As we're 40 seconds in, I think the first few shots now finally beginning to be uttered. The Subliners getting quite a bit of control over through middle. Scraps will be the first one to gain information, call that one out to his teammates, saying, hey, the A push is in. It's just a matter of moments before it does end up coming through, and the Legion, without numbers, we'll see how long they can begin to hold on for. As Mack finds the first blood, Zaptius is traded, kills all around as the entire lobby drops in a matter of moments. But all that we need to know is that Subliners, they win the round.
Yeah, that was just great work from New York right there. Spreading map, making sure no players from Paris Legion were trying to set up for a late flank, and then eventually pinching it through the middle because there were 2 players from Paris who were watching that middle of the map. They hit up Eskies, they solo out these 2 players on bomb, and then eventually just win the trade battle. And that was just a good round right there out of New York. Way to tie it up 1-1. Now Paris back on the offense.
One thing too, Stud, that you know, a lot of people had questions about coming into this particular series was kind of in regard to the search and destroys. I know there was a lot of people talking about, hey, you know, Diamondcon, how great he was in search and destroy, you know, when he was with this team in stage 1 and stage 2. And funny enough, all things considered for the Subliners, Zaptius dodges a nade. When you look at the overall KDs for players who've been a part of NYSL, Diamondcon actually has the highest KD, which is kind of interesting to think about. Despite not being with this team for the past few stages, he still is held in high regard for this team in this mode. And very well could make the biggest difference as he started off this game quite well. Asim causing the ultimate difference, though, as he shuts down Aqua. Is now it's Legion, despite having bombed down in the 2 versus 4. How great would an early pick be for Scraps? He's going to be the sole man on the site. They're setting up for that pinch over at Eskies, but sadly for them, it is not at all where the push for the Subliners will look to try to rein on in. As Mack able to start things off well, the Temp replies with 2 of his own. Players coming in from either perspective, and the man that we started off talking in the beginning of the round 4 is going to be Diamondcon, and he will find the final kill as well, giving Subliners now the 2-1.
That was just good work right there out of New York, especially Asim. This is the guy who's going to be aggressive, pushing up towards that B side, and he's able to find 2 kills. Eventually, the bomb plane does go down, but they had the man advantage. They all 4-wrap back, they take control of their base, and then they know eventually they have to check this bomb. And that's exactly what happens as they ended up catching Scraps. Then it's all left up to 1 player in a 1v4. Basically an impossible task to get done. So New York, 2 clean rounds so far in this search and destroy to put them up 2-1.
Good start for them, and as you mentioned, Asim puts through 2 big kills. How great he can be for this team in terms of that leadership. And it's kind of funny to think to call Asim kind of the in-game leader for this team, considering that he wasn't even actually on the Subliners official roster to start off the year. That'll be 3 to start for Legion.
Definitely. That was a quick round, man. 3 down. Now it's a 1v3 for Diamondcon. He's going to put some early shots in, but they know the positioning. It's only a matter of time before he drops, but he's able to take down 1 and take down the second. It's a 1v1. Diamondcon versus Aqua. He has the information, but Aqua, he's going to win it. He knows the information right there with that nade that comes in, gets him hurt, and just jumps over the ledge. But my God, Diamondcon almost made that happen just now.
That was terrifying. Like, so we just need to hold our entire conversation. The way that Paris started the round and the way that Diamondcon nearly ended it. As we'll get to watch this one again. Just a nice shot punch there with the Diamante and just catches the shoulder of Zaptius. What could have been a great highlight moment for Diamondcon. Some more confidence for this team. Is maybe a kind of more of a what if you will. But still, starting off this S&D well as Diamondcon now sits at 6-2. As we said, so kind of getting back to it, is funny to think about, as we said, Asim now kind of in the leadership role for this team, as he's had to wear a number of different hats this season.
Oh, he definitely has, and it's unfortunate that he's going to get picked off there early. That's your in-game leader, but now he's able to give you those extra comms, let you guys know exactly how you want to set up. As Paris Legion, this can be a complete blind counter. They're putting the aggression in towards this B bomb. Obviously, number 3 in Mack is going to be able to pick up that information, but there should be a free bomb plant for the Paris Legion. They just have to try to keep control of that street side, because we see multiple teams set up like this, but once they give up street, that's the opening that the defensive team is looking for.
Question is, will they find that opening? As Diamond does get challenged from the side, Mack continuing to be solid, does even things out to a 2-on-2. Takes the fight versus Zaptius, and now it will all be on to Aqua. Knows roughly where Mack's position is at, but it does not matter. Escaping with 5 HP. Mack attack coming to play, destroying trophies on his way toward a defuse. A nice moment there for Mack Belts.
He just did such a great job right there, because the pressure was coming in from street. Like, Mack just had to try to stay alive. His teammate eventually dropped, but he found one immediately and then won a huge one-on-one with that Diamante, with that player coming up behind him. So we see HyDra, he was completely out of this play. Like, but by the time HyDra gets to that bomb, it's probably about 12 to 15 seconds left. So he has to try to pick up that kill, but Mack in a great position. He knows the positioning of Aqua, able to win not 1, not 2, but 3 gunfights in the round to secure it for NYSL. Great job right there out of Mack attack.
It's gonna be so frustrating for Paris, because you're like, we literally brought this guy down to a handful of HP, not just once, but twice, and he still manages to walk away with the hat trick in the round. Just wonderful plays coming in from Mack, and I know he had a slow game one. Started to kind of pick it up whenever we saw the Subliners go on their tear toward the end of Garrison, but obviously playing well so far in the search and destroy, as Aqua will spot the toes of HyDra. Nearly has to pay for it though. And he'll take the challenge on the second. A great round for Aqua to start this one off. And despite his departure, he will be able to provide his team with the man advantage. And a much needed round for them as well. Asim still with that bomb lingering through middle. And no information gained as of yet.
Yeah, so New York, they're just trying to locate at least one player. There's all of Paris is spread across the map. One person watching street, one person watching mid, one person having the entire A cut off. So it's all a matter of time before Diamondcon tries to be aggressive towards A. That's exactly what's going to happen. He just has to try to spot this player in scraps, and he does. So now the comm is going to come in towards Asim. The pinch is going to be here, and just like that, it's a 2v2. Zaptius is going to give up his position, but he actually wins that engagement. So now it's all up to Asim in a 1v2 situation.
18 seconds left. Asim understandably uncomfortable. Just decide to rotate that bomb now over a B. So the plant will be successful. You see there in the bottom left of your screen, Paris. They check A just to double check. Which of them they will answer incorrectly. Zaptius and Simp continue to roam throughout the streets, looking everywhere for where Asim could be hiding, and there are quite a few hiding spots that you can have over at this B site, and here comes the challenge. Zaptius is going to be there to win it. As we said, a big round there for the Legion, but nice sequence there late for Zaptius, as Legion will win this one with man advantage. An 8-4 start for Zaptius is what you want to see, again, out of the guy who really brought Search and Destroy, brought that methodical playmaking toward this roster, but cannot be understated. Aqua's start to this round definitely had a part to play there, stud.
Yeah, Aqua picking up that two-piece was insane. I thought Mack, all you had to do was hit him with one bullet, but just great coordination with that nade to get him one shot, then immediately jump off for the challenge. Caught Mack off guard. Aqua finds an early two, but that's the addition of Zaptius to this Paris roster. He knows the situation. It's a 2v1. The only way you're going to be able to win that is if you're playing really aggressive, going to challenge early, or you're going for a full-on wrap, and that's exactly what was going to happen, as Zaptius was able to read that round. So now tied up at 3 apiece. Paris back on the attack, and this time it's going to be aggressive towards the middle of the map. You're going to have 3 players from New York stacking over towards A, and they're just going to cut right up Eskies. Asim is, unfortunately, he's going to drop, and now the pressure's going to be here. Both players from New York have to try to go big in this situation.
This is just great clearance so far from the Legion. Granted, they have to sacrifice Aqua, but it is a worthy transaction. Nonetheless, as now it all come down to Mack Melts. Some near clutches so far, as it'll be his opportunity to try to make one happen, but that will be a no-go. I mean, what? That is perfect execution from the Legion over at this site, just continually singling players out, being aware of their position, despite where, a few players could have made, little highlights there, find a kill, find a two-piece. They were there to thwart every single attempt, as that is a great way for Legion to get back into the search and destroy.
Yeah, they just found the opening right there. New York, they decided 3-stack towards A. And even though when they hit up Eskies, I feel like Asim in the situation that he was in, if he can just get away with his life, then you're going to force Paris Legion to try to go out there and just challenge and have to check so many different corners. But he drops it, and the trades are going to definitely go in favor of Paris. And that's why they take advantage of that bomb site so well. So now Paris up by 1. New York back on the attack. This time they're going to be taking a page out of Paris Legion's book and trying to be aggressive through the middle of the map. With 3 players being aggressive for Paris Legion through that A site, they're going to be able to take control of Eskies and call out that cross for his teammates.
There walks away the first and the second, nearly the third. Seen Zaptius meet for what feels like the umpteenth time so far throughout this game. Asim will clear out Zaptius, also eliminate the trophy, and now it is already into the 1 versus 2 for Aqua. Now turning into the 1v1. 38 seconds to work with. If you are the Legion, where is Mack hiding? These Browns have been so fast at certain moments. And it's going to be Mack who wins the fight. A big gunfight for him to take. Back and forth it came, and you see Aqua already just in the comms communicating a little bit stressed that he wasn't able to come away with it. But again, it cannot be understated. But it was Aqua just a round or so ago. It was HyDra to start this one off. Back and forth we go. It just seems that we just have like, it's more of a slower start and then just all of a sudden just chaos erupts.
Yeah, that's what's been happening. These early rounds, at least early into the round, these guys are just slow and steady. But when that action starts, it doesn't stop until the round is done. So right now, tied at 4 apiece. We're going to have Paris on the attack. This time taking that bomb over towards B. And this is where a player like Mack, who's going to have some early stature control, can go huge. They're 2-2 splitting right now. They have the information that there's going to be a couple players from Paris pushing up towards Street. You see what Paris are going to do. They're deciding to wrap back because they don't know the full positionings from these New York players at this site so far.
The Scraps finds the first kill on a Diamond Con again. If Mack turns around, he could find himself a good angle depending on where Paris likes to go. Another big gunfight win. That's going to go to Aqua. The quick trade in from Mack. This HyDra will be the sole main on the site, but that may not be a problem. Hanging out toward outer bricks. That's going to make the Legion players feel more uncomfortable. You see the confidence from Zaptius. Keep in mind, he does have the bomb. Him dropping here could very well decide the round, but whereas HyDra hidden himself behind the pillar, as now it's all on to Temp. The 1 versus 2, as we said, the bomb down in a little bit of a difficult spot, but given his position on the map, it will be a quick grab and go as now the plant is in over at B. And how fast can he get this one down? HyDra around the corner he comes as the Subliners will grab their 5th.
That was just great work right there out of the Subliners because they were in a 4v2 situation. Right before Mack picks up the kill, it's 4v2. So now it's all up to Mack attack and French Fry, and they just make it happen, man. HyDra goes huge at that bomb site, gets a perfect timing onto Scraps, and then gets out with his life, and then just finesses the pillar the entire time. And then takes down Zaptius, 1v2 situation. It's just going to be pretty difficult to get done. But what a 2v4 right there out of Mack and HyDra to give their team the lead on this map number 2.
So I'd love to commentate with you, but for whatever reason, they're deciding to do some lawn care just right outside of my window. So
all right,
I'll do my best. I can barely hear you, stud. Sounds like I'm in a hurricane right now.
All right, well, don't worry. I'll take it from here.
I'll let you have this one. You take it away.
Paris Legion on the defense, but early attack coming in from New York on towards this B, but a sticky nade is going to come in from Diamond onto Asim. That's going to make it a 3v4, make it a 3v3, a 3v2. Trades are just going back and forth between both of these teams. Mack, unfortunately, is going to get his toes taken off, but Zaptius is going to slide, take down 1, and eventually the round is going to be done just like that. Paris Legion, they shut down that push from New York aggressively towards B. Diamond Con had a little bit of help on their side, picking them with the early team nade, but now we find ourselves in a round 11 between Paris and New York. This one's going to be great.
Look at you. All right. I like that. That's great.
Like that?
I can only hear half of it. Like I said, there was a leak floor and really kind of taking over the comms, but it's all good. Great stuff, Jay. Now we're into a round 11. Here we go. Paris answer back. By the way, Zaptius sits at a nice 12-7. Mack on the other side, 11-7. A huge game for Paris already. A major round for them. As going down to this New York team 2-0 would be quite precarious. Here we go. As we said, Legion on the attack. Aware of Mack's position, and Temp is there to take him down off the start. And that will free Legion up for the lane. Trickling their way toward the top side of Eskies. Diamond Con whiffs a few shots. Asim and HyDra now down to the SMGs. They have to go big in the 2 versus 4. Staring at explosions is HyDra, but Asim wins 2. One player is going to be on the flank. It's Aqua, and he's able to win it with the hip fire. Got a little bit dicey toward the end, but Legion are able to clutch up here in round 11 and bring us to a 1-1. Back and forth this series has been, with a few points decided in the hard point and 1 round that separates us and the S&D. It is a great start to the day, stud.
Great start to the day indeed, man. That was such a great round 11 from Paris right there because they went back to what worked for them previously in that game. They had tried to just be aggressively through the middle of the map. Obviously, the first go around, there were no New York players in that position, but they've done their homework. They know that Mack likes to play that half wall. So Temp, he pulls out that assault rifle, that Krig 6, and times it perfectly, opens up with the first blood, and then they immediately just put on the pressure on towards A. And that's what Paris was doing the entire map. You open up with that early first blood, all it's about after that is just playing to your man advantage, playing the trades properly, and that's exactly what they do is they hit up Eskies, they win a couple of gunfights there, there, and then eventually they're able to close out that game and tie it up at 1 apiece. Just great S&D from both teams, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk about it constantly. Like, the team that normally wins a search and destroy is the team that's making the adjustments, the team that's learning as the game progresses. And obviously with Mack being toward that top position consistently, round after round, Simp and the boys of Legion are able to realize that kill really sets up how that round 11 goes. And on topic with that round 11, it also is going to be set for our U.S. Army tactical play. So we'll get another chance to kind of watch how this round, I guess you could say, kind of breaks down. And I'll go ahead and throw it to you to take it over.
Yeah, so right here, the pressure's coming in from middle of the map. And Paris, like I said, they know the positioning of Mack. They open up with that first blood, and you see immediate pressure over there towards that A bomb. They're trying to push out. They're trying to play these trades because they know they're going to at least have 2 players from New York here. Diamond over peaks. Eventually, he drops, so now it's a 4v2. They solo out HyDra in this corner. Now it's all left up to Asim in a 1v4, which is basically an impossible task to get done. But you just got to go back to that round where New York got teammated in that offense. Like, they could have been able to close it out there, but some unfortunate situations happened then, and now the series is tied 1 apiece.
Oh, man. Like I said, back and forth we go. A series that had so many implications, whether we're talking about the future of rosters or where teams sit coming into that major, coming into playoffs. It is a 1-1 tied series as we'll be headed toward Garrison control right after our break.
Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
Hi everybody, welcome back to day 1 of the Seattle home series. Currently a great game going down between the New York Subliners and the Paris Legion. That man there, Diamond making his return to the CDL in the brief moment of absence that we have from Clayster, but Stud keeping on track with this Subliners team. Let's go ahead and talk about how the numbers look. Stage 4 to Stage 5. Tell me, man, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it just hasn't been good, man. Obviously, Stage 4 is when... This is before they went into the majors, so they were riding highs. They were getting better at this game mode because it was their worst one. This is where they needed to show improvements. And then obviously Stage 5, a lot of things go on with this team, man. But you can just see the stats dropping drastically for all of these players. We're expecting Mack to be over a 1.0. HyDra to still be sitting over a 1.0 as well. But those categories are falling down for this roster. Just simple, man. When you talk about that control game mode, this had some tough matchups so far this week. And they played OpTic, they played LA, they have to play FaZe to end this out. This has been a tough group for this team, but hopefully they can show improvements in that control today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been the mode that they've talked about really, since like Stage 2, Stage 3. This is the one they have to work on. And Given, at times the adversity they've faced, a lot of those strategies have kind of had to go underway to work on different things. Well, folks, Game 3 Control is going to be underway in just a matter of moments. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
We made USAA insurance for renters who make the most of their space and money. That's why we make it easy to cover the stuff you love for as little as 33 cents a day. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
Alrighty, stud, let's go ahead and take a look at our maps and modes to see how this series has gone and what is coming up. Again, Garrison Control for Game 3, Apocalypse for Game 4, and if it can come all the way down to it, a standoff S&D for that Game 5. I mean, what, man, based on how the first two maps have gone, it would not surprise me if the close competitive battles would only continue, but kind of getting back to that Control conversation, as we said, it is going to be on Garrison. Do you have a favorite here?
Just the way that New York played on that hard point, I guess I'm going to favor them because that was a momentum swing. Even though they lost that search and destroy 6-5, I feel like them just getting that win underneath their belt, they're going to be a lot more confident on a map like this because they do have a positive record. They're sitting at, actually they don't have a positive record. They're at 4-6, but Paris at 3-5. So this one is up in the air for both of these rosters. Yeah. But if HyDra can come out and perform the way that he did in that map number 1, the way that he was finessing with that submachine gun, winning some insane gunfights, he's gonna have to keep up that performance here.
Yeah, and like despite New York starting off the way that they did, as we said, going down 90 to 100 seconds, in the hard point, it almost just like felt like there were some moments, as we said, where they just started to kind of rise up. HyDra takes off for a moment. We saw Asim starting to go on a little bit of a spree. It just didn't seem as if like that team should be down the way that they were. And as you mentioned, they make the heroic comeback and are able to walk away with that game. But it cannot be understated, the Subliners, how much strategy, how many things get changed up when you come into this new team. Just adding a new player, again, that's 25% of your roster that does get changed up. As now they'll head into this Control swing mode, as it's labeled, and correctly labeled at that. That'll be a nice 3 down for the moment out of the Subliners, but Mack is there for the quick reply. He takes down 2, and from there, that'll leave Aqua now to head over toward this A point.
He's doing a great job of just forcing a lot of New York players to wrap back towards that site. So now that's going to open up that B point for his teammates. HyDra's going to be in a position to try to cause some problems, but he's eventually going to drop. That's going to be 2 dead. Diamondcon picking up 1. To at least slow the pressure down. As you saw, Temp, he was trying to fight for that bridge control. They're trying to set up this spawn trap nice and early as the second tick is about to come in towards this B point. It's only a matter of time before they're able to close this out and extend time by a minute.
Nice little punch there, and Zaptius, as that will keep the point flowing. He's the sole man hanging out at B, but he's staying alive regardless. Just inches away from claiming B to start and getting that extra minute on the board, but Subliners are going to be there to delay for now. And at much necessity, they will also look to try to reclaim some map control. HyDra, but a menace, as you mentioned, so that he was toward the end of that hard point. As NYSL look to pretty much put them in the full Nelson toward the backside of their spawn. As we said, oh so close. That's the way the Control works. The defensive team gets some map control and how quickly things can turn around, as that's going to be 4 in a row for DC.
Yeah, you see him, he's backing up. He knows that these streaks are so impactful. So if you can chain a couple more kills together, pick these up, this will be a great opportunity for NYSL. HyDra still causing problems in the base of the Paris Legion. So far, Paris haven't found an opening yet. They cannot get out of their spawn. New York are doing such a great job at just keeping the push staggered as Diamondcon picks up the 5th kill on a 5 spree. Only 3 seconds away from closing out this round is going to be New York. And unfortunately, Diamond's going to drop there. I didn't like that from Diamond. I would like to see him just stay alive. There's only 2 seconds left. You're on a 5 spree. You know that these streaks are going to be huge, but fortunately, it gives it this life. You still win the round, though. Those streaks can come back to haunt you.
That's a good point, man. That's a great point to reference. As we said, how great can streaks be on a map like Garrison? And how close really was Paris Legion at the start of this game? As we said, it was just a matter of inches away. Zaptia stays alive for a little bit longer. Maybe one teammate just happens to win a different 1 versus 1. And they're able to grab that point pretty quick. And what, they would have like a good 2 minutes to work with. But as we mentioned, these initial fights, these beginning gunfights, so important, specifically for that attacking team, for that offensive group. If you drop, we'll notice, like I said, just as we noticed in that first one, how quickly things can go awry. As Temp finding himself on the flank, nobody checking their back. normally for good reason, but they just go so confidently instead of green. That may come back to bite them, as all three players that found themselves up there now will find themselves in the respawn screen and now in the backside of their spawn.
Yeah, so now if you're in New York, you have to try to open up with a kill. And fortunately, Mack is going to be able to pick up that trade onto Aqua. Big kill from HyDra as well. So now that's going to allow them to be pushed up on the map. Right now, Paris do not have full map control. You have to just try to locate these two players who are pushed up this deep into the map. Diamondcon is able to locate Temp. Eventually, Scraps is going to get one, but get traded immediately. So now it's all on New York to put the pressure on. But Zaptius with a great stick is going to slow down that push from once again from New York. The time's starting to tick. New York have to try to get onto one of these points to stop that clock.
Saw Asim toward that bottom side as well. Just how great that setup could have been for the Subliners if we don't see HyDra get stuck right in the center of his eyes. With 17 seconds left, they will halt the clock for the time. We'll see if they can win this 2 versus 2 fight. Asim's able to drop the first, but you see 3 players dropping in the feed. It all comes down to Diamondcon. Having a great performance so far in this control, but as we said, just without having numbers, what really does it mean? Time continues to trickle away. The Subliners have to issue themselves onto the point quite quickly. As Temp drops from the back, what could be the final push of this round, and it will be Aqua closing things out on the 5 spree. As we mentioned, Diamondcon not able to earn streaks. Aqua this time for the opposite side is able to stay alive, as it is defense to start.
And that's a huge round for Paris. To not allow any progression takes to come in towards either site, because they were able to get at least 2 in that very first round on B, so they have that advantage right now. If it does go to that round 5, Paris will put themselves in a position to get defense. But Aqua ending out the round strong on a 5 spree. Let's see if he can pick up some early streaks going into this round, because they can be huge, man. They could be huge.
Absolutely could be.
Does have that Krig in hand. Just has to try to pick these ones up early.
I think it's fair to say we definitely have to look through the eyes of Aqua, at least toward the start of this round. Both teams looking for their first offense. 2 players making their way instead of green. Asim, his presence is felt. But it is a quick 3 coming in from the SMGs of the Legion. Aqua's still hanging out. Like I said, he's just trying to make sure he's staying safe, and with his SMGs winning the fights that they have to, it makes his life that much easier, as they're already halfway into capturing that B point. HyDra still here. NYSL in the midst of trying to get top green control, and based off of that objective work, Aqua will be able to earn that artillery, just a fraction away from earning the cruise as well. And there you have it, 7 in a row. Paris looking good to start here on this attack at B, and again, as we mentioned, have those streaks for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and this is scary because they only need 1 more tick to close out this B point. The aggression is going to be here from New York. They're able to find 2, but now that allows their teammates to get over towards A. And if you're Aqua, yeah, this is the perfect timing. Use that streak to relieve some pressure, to work that progression up on this A point. Make sure you take your time, curve this into the room. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to pick up a kill, but the first tick of progression does come in towards A. They're still doing a great job of just keeping up that pressure on B as well, but Aqua's actually going to invest both of these. There's only 1 player still here, but this is going to be the second tick of progression just coming in solely off of the cap of Zaptius. This is great work right now from Paris.
See if Subliners can handle all of the streaks and just continue to rain on in. Trying to bring HyDra into top green, says, come over here. Finally does get dropped, and with that, the Subliners look to try to run back on through. That'll be 3 down, so off of that streak usage from Legion, again, it does earn them that B point, but still a lot of time to go. 1:45 on the clock, and with 1 tick to answer, Aqua continues to take down players through mid-study. Sits at 16-8 and only looks to try to even that one up as Zaptius turns on to Asim. Legion starting to group up now toward the backside of bricks. 1 player that's going to be back here is Asim. It's a current 4 versus 4. Everybody alive. How important this fight could be for either of these teams very well could decide how the rest of this round goes. Asim staying up. Zaptius trying to value his life. And Asim will be happy to sit back here for as long as he can. That'll be a big 2 coming in from Diamond and HyDra. Asim stays alive toward the backside of his base. Despite Zaptius making a lot of noise, isn't really going to even up to all that much. And based off the push, you see, they realize, hey, we've got a little bit of space. Let's now try to make the 1 player who's inside of the point uncomfortable. They do exactly that. And now that's going to be 2 players here over at A for Legion.
Now you just got to pay attention to HyDra, because HyDra's actually going to be setting up for some spawn kills. So he's going to be able to cut these players off, relieve some pressure for his teammates to try to get in towards this point. But Temp and Zaptius do a great job at finding 2, Aqua with the 3rd. So now it's all left up to Mack. You have to try to get on this point. The stack is about to come in. They're going to be able to close this out quick. He's just trying to stay alive for his teammates to eventually get to him. But Paris is doing such a great job of just staying alive. Mack and HyDra actually break in, able to find 3. It's all on Aqua, the last player who's going to be here. But that is going to be a clean break from New York. Just when we thought that the round was going to be over, HyDra and Mack are able to find a couple kills to relieve that pressure. And now with 35 seconds left, Paris have one good push to try to get on this point.
Like you said, one good push left out of the Legion. What does the attack begin to look like? As Asim finds one to start, he does get quickly traded. A decent reply if you are Paris, but making their way toward the backside of the spawn, keeping in mind somebody is going to have to get a foot on the point, but will they even have the opportunity to do that? That's going to be 2, make it 3 straight in the feed. Farthest pushed up player, that's going to be Scraps. It's a 4 versus 2 with 2 seconds on the clock. Scraps is going to get found out, and despite the streaks, despite what was once again from Paris, the near capture at one of these control points, it is the Subliners answering back yet again.
Yeah, and that's where that round needs to go in favor of Paris, because when you're investing those streaks the way that they did, there was only one person on that point the entire time. They were just trying to get some early progression on it. But I feel like that was some horrible streak usage, because obviously you finish that capture point at B, but then by the time you're already 4 stacked towards top green, New York were able to find 3, and then eventually it's so hard to try to get that one good break in, as New York did a great job of just holding in the back. That hold was phenomenal from New York, because if one player would have dropped on their side, at least to open those engagements, then the trades effectively would have went in favor of Paris. But New York found 2, they held their ground, and they stayed alive on another defensive round, find themselves up 2-1. And into this round, they find early 3, so the aggression is going to be here. Make it 4.
Into the thick of it we go, as Asim with a nice nade to start. It'll put the Subliners in arguably the best attack that we have seen yet. And I love this spot from Diamondcon, right? Just make sure he doesn't lose green control, but at least makes the Paris Legion have to go over toward A, dictating where Paris must position their players. As Diamondcon drops, it is still the Subliners putting in some work into that objective. And you notice Asim, he's not on the point. He's actually pushed his way up as well. Just trying to put as much pressure on that Legion base as possible. And with the objective that Mack has valued, he's also got himself a streak as well. Great plays from the Subliners, despite what has been a one-man affair so far at this B point. Can anybody get here in time? Temp tries to slide his way in, but is not going to be able to answer. That's 2 minutes on the clock left for the Subliners. 3 down for a moment from Paris, but most importantly, it is streaks in the back pocket of Mack Melts.
That was such a huge win from Zaptius, but unfortunately the teammate is going to come in from Scraps, so now that's going to still keep top green control in favor of New York. It's only a matter of time before they chain this with that streak. Just cannot allow anyone to pick up a kill. If you're Paris, you have to try to stay alive here, and Asim is able to find one. Unfortunately, the team kill is going to happen.
Oh!
But Mack is able to find 2 with the cruise missile, so now this is going to relieve that pressure. Now this is the opening for New York on towards this point. The stack has to be here. The streak is about to get called in. New York should be able to close it out here.
It looks good to do so. Also, call it in the secondary. Legion, they have to storm their way into the point. They actually have to get here as quick as possible. Scraps wins a fight versus HyDra. Mack still staying alive inside of the point. That's going to be 5 in a row for him. A current contest. Where is that Paris player hiding? He's actually over toward top green. He takes him out. It may have to be all on Mack. Pulls out the pistol, but he does free up just enough time for HyDra toward that top green position. He gets traded out. And my goodness, studs, so close. So close with the Subliners, but Paris, just in the nick of time, are able to answer back, storm their way back into the control point, and keep themselves alive. 1 minute and 30 on the clock still to work with for New York.
Yeah, and that was all on Aqua. I'm pretty sure when Mack was trying to find that guy that was contesting, he looked at Aqua, and I even thought it was a dead body, but Aqua was able to find 2 players to allow his teammates to get back into the point, eventually stop that progression from New York. So now with a minute left, New York only have a 1 live advantage. They have to try to find an opening through the middle of the map, and fortunately, Temp is able to take down Diamond. The pressure's still coming in. Scraps is able to get 1, make it 2. Now it's all on Mack in the middle of the map. He's going to get dropped as well. So now the pressure is going to be on. Paris Legion trying to put the foot on the gas on towards the spawn and pick up some more spawn kills.
Still to be able to do that. Another major pick there for Zaptius, as Diamond is going to be aware of Scraps' position for the most part. Hanging out toward the backside of lights, but where has he decided to go? Scraps mantling inside of the window. He will have to head to the respawn screen for his bad behavior. But it is a nice kill nonetheless, as Temp able to put in a few shots for the backside of Mack. Does have some answers for Diamond Con. No respawns left, as you see it indicated for the Subliners. 4 to 6, 13 seconds left, but can HyDra make the play? Finds himself in the backside of bricks. Diamond Con as well. That's going to be 2. It's going to be a 3 versus 2. Now making a 4 versus 2 into the point. Players for the Paris Legion have to go big, but they do not. It's a stack. Legion, they have to get in here in time. This run could start to go the other way, and it will. New York once more climbing back on Garrison, this time in the control. How dicey, how crazy were these rounds? But it's the Subliners who find the lane. It's HyDra toward the backside of bricks. Ian Diamond, the rookies, go big. And it's the Subliners winning their second respawn.
That's insane, man. Like, just another clutch play right there from HyDra. There's only one good push from New York that has to come in towards that very end game. Once they pick up that kill onto that player that was coming off the spawn, HyDra, with the awareness that he had, he knows, I gotta pick up this kill. That guy's gonna spawn all the way back right corner behind me, and then eventually we'll be able to set up this pinch towards bricks, and that's exactly what happened. He finds that kill, he sets up Diamond Con to pick up the easy kill on towards bricks, and then the pinch just comes in. Eventually it comes down to a 2v2, but those players from Paris Legion were spawning so far that they weren't able to even get into a contest spot. Just great work right there out of HyDra, but also Mack having a great bounce back map from that map number 1. I'm pretty sure it was like -12, -13, but right here, +10, able to pick up some streaks from New York and now put them in the lead, 2-1 in the series.
Yeah, man, as we said, the Subliners crew, all 4 of these players having to step up in major ways, and they've been able to do so far throughout the respawns. Can they make it 3 for 3 in the respawn game, as we've got Hardpoint up next, or can the Paris Legion send us to a game 5? It has been back and back to start, and we'll see if this one comes to a close with Hardpoint Apocalypse up right after the break. Alrighty, friends, welcome back to what has been a phenomenal start to the Seattle home series. Before we do anything, focus your sights onto the screen, the graphic below. You can feel free to unlock a free CDL team pack with any purchase on GameFuel.com/CDL. Of course, it is while supplies last. Like I said, folks, you get the opportunity to win in all kinds of ways. Just make sure to go ahead and do it. I got my Game Fuel here off to the side, and boy, have I needed it, as this has been a wild series so far, Stud. As we've talked about, Subliners with the addition of DiamondCon coming in, obviously for Clay, for the Parasite, they're off a little bit of momentum. Like, we really didn't know where this one was going to go exactly, but the major problem and the major struggle so far for the Subliners throughout Stage 5, Stud, has been in that hardpoint mode. We talk about it constantly for this team. But at one point, they went like on a 12-13 streak?
Yeah, at one point, they were on a 12-13 streak. That was when HyDra first came in. But then ever since that Stage 4, where Asim just couldn't make it to the major, that's when their hardpoint started going on the downwards. Yeah. They were sitting at, I'm pretty sure in the last 10, they're 2-8. And that's not something you expect out of a team like New York. This is one of those teams that had the ability to compete with some of the best teams that we have in the league in that game mode. And just looking at the stats so far for DiamondCon, sitting at a .79, obviously, it's not the best stats you want, but they're up 2-1 in the series, man. You got to be feeling good when you win two respawns versus a great team in Paris.
Yeah, actually, it's hard, right? Because again, I know DiamondCon has been playing under Team Canada and the Challenger side, so obviously he's still playing at a very high level. But when you do come into this roster, again, trying to fill the shoes of somebody like Clay, who's not just trying to lead by the slang side of things, but also from the in-game perspective, just a lot of different things to weigh. Obviously, if you are DC, he's also a rookie. That's something to think about as well. Not the greatest start, but again, how quickly the thoughts, the opinions can change if you can walk away with a close-out hardpoint. As we said, it will be Apocalypse for what could be the final resting place of this series. Subliners versus Legion. Stud, I guess I'll pose it now toward the Paris side. Who are you looking at to maybe go off and potentially force that Game 5?
I'm looking at Scraps. This is a guy who can single-handedly take over for Paris Legion. You saw him do it versus the Thieves roster. He had a 1.2 in that series. And I know they didn't play Apocalypse, but they can still definitely get the job done here. But on the side of New York, when you're talking about a map like Apocalypse, I'm looking at either DiamondCon or Mack to really step up and slow the game down to secure these spawns, because we know on a map like Apocalypse, the spawns are everything. You need to make sure that you're keeping broken for P1 and P2. You need to make sure that you're flipping for P3 to P5. So hopefully one of these ARs can slow down their gameplay and just be a little bit more disciplined for their team.
Yeah, and as we said, with the kind of, I guess you could say, limited experience now for this New York team after Clay does not appear to be in the lineup. Like I said, you're looking at Asim, the guy who has the longest tenure on this group. 3 years of experience for him. The rest, Mack at 2 years, DiamondCon and HyDra, it's their rookie season, but they're turning up in the most important game so far, starting things off well on P1. And but how crazy can it get on Apocalypse? As we mentioned, Subliners doing a great job at probably for the first time in a long time to not see those spawns flipped out toward Temple yet.
Yeah, just such a great job from New York, and usually this tends to lead to a full 60, at least back-to-back for both teams, depending on how New York can hold this, because so far the pressure is still here from Paris. They're trying to approach this from the backside, but still 4 players from New York are still going to be spawning towards here. Trades going back and forth, but the pitch is actually going to be in. So number 5, he's going to win a huge engagement, and that's going to be Scraps. So that's going to spawn out that number 4 player in HyDra. Zaptius also picks up another, and eventually the pressure's here from Paris. They're able to get the clean break.
I guess I spoke a little bit too soon. I was talking about how the Subliners doing a great job at maintaining spawns, and then just like that, Legion waltz right on in. And Scraps starting off well, does end things out for a moment there on that 3 spree, but I guess if you're Paris, like I said, you start off slow on that P1, a P2 break is not a necessity, but it's obviously going to help. And those final 10 seconds will begin to trickle on in. We go towards Stilts, and that's where the Subliners find themselves for the time. As we mentioned, you called out Mack needing to have a good performance, starting things off at 1 and 5. Thankfully for him, HyDra, 8 and 4 to start.
Yeah, not too mad about that. When one person struggles, someone else should be able to step up, and HyDra's answering the call so far. But Paris, even though they were late towards this rotation, they won a couple engagements, and they're able to break right on in. But HyDra and Mack able to find 3 kills. Last player is going to be Aqua in this position to try to get them off at this point. But New York just doing a great job at just picking up these kills, picking up this time, and eventually the lead change is going to come in.
Yep. Change is imminent. Is Mack, nice rotation, great awareness, and just like that, we talked about Mack starting things off quite slow. Well, how about that? Now sits at 6 and 5. and could be just a minor amount of moments away from capturing some streaks once more. The Subliners will look to reclaim control. Now as we head toward Turtle, it is Legion with a pretty nice setup. As we mentioned, I mean, they've got every single bit of Subliner territory covered. As Diamond will look to try to be the bait. That sets up Mack. That's now going to be 6 in a row. 1 kill away from the spree. As Paris will claim control at Turtle to start. And that's going to be the 7th. A big kill here for Mack. As we said, Stud, starting things off slow, but within a matter of what, 30 to 45 seconds, he's got himself a streak.
Yeah, he picks up a streak, and he was able to at least spawn one player from Paris all the way towards Broken, but Paris, the rest of the players that were on that point, do a great job of just picking up every single kill, securing the spawns back in their favor for that P5. So you see Aqua currently on a 5 spree. These streaks can be huge if he can pick these up. But New York, they're not going to attack this from the front. They're trying to push to the middle of the map. They're trying to set this up properly, but that's going to be a nice 3 down. And now New York have to start thinking about that rotation.
Oh, and what a great kill there from Aqua once more. What's it, streaks for Mack? It's also going to be streaks for Aqua. That's going to be double, though. The Cruise earned just before he falls inside a coop. As Legion reach that double century mark, we'll see if the streaks do end up coming through to solidify what could be a big P5 rotation now for Paris. As the streaks come on in, let's go to an Astro listening with Paris.
Low, guys. He's chopping one back low.
I'm dead.
Nice.
I'm
behind guys. I'm behind 3 of them.
Okay.
I have back.
What's on me? Low.
Oh, low. I can push.
Max a bullet, Charlie.
No. He has no health. Left side.
Left side. Yep, left side.
What's P1? Fuck. Nice. He's going mid lane. Front P5.
Hey.
I'll play for a kill here. Come help me. Come close. I have top.
Spin on their pinch.
I'll shoot for you, I'm nading it. What's top TV? Take flash out, Yule. Naded it too. Let's go on Coop, I think.
Try to hold pinch.
Reach out with Yule. Yeah, I'm looking here.
Yeah, Max mid.
They're not hitting it, Matty. Yeah, it's got this time. Guarantee all this time. Hey, Coop base him. Yeah.
Back on low P3.
What's top TV too? He's not low heavy. Give him low heavy.
You can go.
He's low P3.
He
ran. I have your heli. I have your heli.
Low P3, HyDra. HyDra's low P3, Yule.
He's
absolute. I got naded. HyDra above me. Dead.
Hey, some Coop dead. Push out.
Diamond's in.
He's not hurt.
I'm dead. He's low P3.
I'm running at him.
Low P3.
I got him.
Go right.
I'm only low.
I'm on me. One shot. Hold on. Take your top. Matty, hold. And just take your top.
Low P5 hurt.
One more flash, Matty. I fell.
I'll get time, okay?
Behind me. He's playing his life. He's being annoying.
I have low P5.
On the gold bricks.
I have back right. He called me half cross. I have low P5.
Don't die from half.
Up and right.
Don't die from half. Just get all this time. Make them do something.
Guys.
They have to do something. Yuli's got all about tempo.
I'm soundhorning. Come
flash half.
Can only be half far.
Keep watching your coop.
Get all that time.
Yeah, I'm leading coop.
They're all going right, I think, bro. I have streaks. I have a hellstorm. One's on me back right tempo.
Yeah, came out coop.
I got him.
Tempo. Two back tempo. One more.
Get all this time. They trolled.
You get time.
Hold on. I'm one's front. I'm pitching him. In the back window. He's in the back window.
In the back.
He's on the very back still.
Yo, I have a.
What is my coop? Have you playing
the coop? I'm looking at it.
I'm playing coop.
All right, Stud. I mean, we came into that listening, both teams somewhat even. We're talking about Paris off of that Aqua streak could find themselves in a pretty solid advantage. And now, we rejoined the folks, and it's, 200 to 73. We thought that Garrison hardpoint lead was major. This one steps it up a little bit more. 120-point advantage right now for Paris, and they very well might have just broken in at P2 as well.
And they get the clean break, man. It's just been a great hard point from Paris, man. Every time New York find themselves in a situation where they had to pick up a couple kills or at least fight for the spawns, Aqua is in a position to pick up a lot of those kills. He's having himself a map right here for Paris to try to force it to a game 5. As the spawns did flip, New York had some early setup on this hard point, but they just couldn't pick up any kills, man. And Paris were able to push to the backside. Eventually, they're going to be able to find this remaining 25 seconds on towards this P2 hard point. Only needing 15 away from closing this out, and it's just been a difficult one from New York. They just had to try to bounce back in this map number 5 because Paris Legion, they're running away with this one.
Oh man, young Kyrie cannot miss. Temp just tosses that nade toward top TV, and my word, Legion with the ultimate of replies. And I gotta say, Stud, as Asim just comes through from the top row, I'm shocked by this. I mean, I really am. I thought this was going to be, at the very least, a very back and forth hardpoint. We know Legion, you can never count them out when it comes down to any hardpoint. A map like Apocalypse as well can cater toward their play style, but just a defined victory like this, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit shocked by this, but at the same time, if you're a Legion fan, you could not be more delighted by how they're playing, as DiamondCon, at the very least, puts Aqua in the dirt for what feels like the first time in a long time.
Yeah, so now with 30 seconds left, if you're Paris, you can just give this up. You don't really have to fight this again. You just want to make sure that you're keeping those spawns for that P4. And that's exactly what they're thinking about. They're still keeping pressure on towards low trenches just in case anyone tries to flip to the backside. But still having control, at least from the back as of right now. But two players are actually going to spawn all the way across the map. So now this is where New York need to capitalize on this opportunity and flip these spawn as HyDra does find one. The pressure's still going to be here from the backside. And New York successfully break into the spawn. Now they have to try to break into the hard point.
Easier said than done. HyDra met with a nade, but runs through the explosive. No problem about it whatsoever. It's taken down there from the statue, and with that break, that very well could do it. Some explosives here on Apocalypse. Just to seal the deal, and the streak will not even get to the map in time. Impact not fully reached. 250 to 124. Like we said, I mean, it's a surprising result, I think, for the Legion, but at the same time, as we said, once they go to that listen, once they come through and they perform the way that they did, it was all ablaze from there. The best kind of reply if you're a Paris fan, as they get the job done and now send us to a Game 5.
You know, the crazy part is I actually predicted this series to go all the way to a Game 5. So this is
you're
exactly
not
what I was
surprised.
expecting,
Okay,
man.
all right.
Definitely not surprised, man. The fact that New York are able to walk away with 2 respawns in this series shows that the practice that they put in for at least the 2 days that they were a team has been working out for them so far. Now they're going to find themselves in a Game 5 situation on standoff where previously when they had played it, they wanted 6-0. So they have to try to just resemble that. And for the New York Subliners roster, then on the opposite side for Paris, that's a dominant win right there, man. This is what I was talking about. When you talk about Paris, they have the ability to compete with the best teams in hardpoint. And that was just a great showing right there as they dominated from start to finish. Standoff S&D to end it out. This is going to be a great one to close.
Yeah, it absolutely is. As we mentioned, a series with so many implications on it in regards to the major and as well in regards to the champs. Paris Legion get all the jobs done necessary there on Apocalypse Hardpoint. As when we come back after the break, it is going to be a Game 5 on Standoff S&D. You do not want to miss it.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
Alrighty, friends, it is nearly time for a game 5. Make sure to grab the get those scuffs, get the game fuel ever close. It's going to be a phenomenal way to close off what has been a phenomenal series, the greatest way to kick off the Seattle home series. But now, time to talk about game 5s, how both of these teams have performed so far throughout the season. What's that? We see 1 and 2 for Paris, on the other side for New York, 8 and 4. But keeping in mind, they don't have Clay now.
Yeah, they got a little bit more ice there with that 8 and 4 record, but you got to keep in mind, they used to be 8 and 2 before Stage 5 started. They had a Game 5 versus the Thieves, and had a Game 5 versus London that they lost both of those. So New York have some ice, and then they're going into a map like Standoff. You don't have Clayster. That guy's been playing this map for 13 years. So I'm excited to see what they're able to bring because they're undefeated on that map. It's going to be really hard, though, to fill the shoes of Clayster on that map.
Yeah, it absolutely is. As we mentioned, a guy who has, like we discussed, I mean, tons of experience. He's played Standoff a number of times, and it just feels like so often when we do see a Standoff search and destroy, it just feels as if we're talking about Clay consistently, whether he's holding down a lane, it appears that he's giving a call out or just really walking away with some great kills. What a crazy series it has been up to this point. As we referenced the Game 2 Search and Destroy, it was a wild one. Came down to around 11. It was Paris getting the job done specifically. It was Zaptius leading the way there with 13 and 8.
Yeah, the guy's going to have a big game, man, because you know the pressure from Asim, you know the pressure from HyDra. Those guys like to fight in towards bottom wood basically every single time that they're on the defense. So Zaptius, he had a phenomenal game too, sitting at a 1.6. He's going to have the same exact performance here, or even better, to try to close out this series.
I just want to ask you too, what do you think is going through the minds of the subliner players? It doesn't really matter what player you are. I know DiamondCon, gets added to this team, very last second. They're working off of probably hours, maybe a day or so of practice. You're heading into another Game 5. I mean, what needs to be said in the comms, and how do you think the team feels given this moment, given the weight and the spotlight they have right now?
Honestly, if I'm on New York, I'm sitting there going, whatever happens, happens. As long as we know that we're giving it our all. Obviously, we haven't been able to practice S&D compared to the way that Paris have been, because we've only been a team for a couple days now. But you just want to go in here with a clear mind, take it one round at a time, and just try to work off of each other. Make sure the comms are clean, and just make sure the game is as easy as possible. No one tried to be Superman on the map.
Love to hear it. Well said. As always, brother. But here we go. Into the Game 5. Standoff S&D. As we mentioned for Paris, what a big series this could be for them. A W would put them in such a great position to possibly get a top 3 seed in their group. The best way, consider they won't be at playoffs, the best way to end out their season would be to have that winner's bracket or the major. As Asim hot on the tracks of Aqua, hot on the tracks of Temp as well, and also will manage to escape with his life. Freeze up for the bomb plant. So Paris, have got to be looking every single direction, wondering where the Subliners is going to strike next. Thankfully for Aqua, it is the healthy and right reply. As now we're into the 3 versus 3. DiamondCon toward that broken side once more. It's the flanks that continue to tell the story. It's Zaptius with 1. Can he find the second? Trying to finesse with 20 seconds on the clock. It's the shot punch from Mack, and it's the second kill from Mack as well. Could it be the 1 versus 3 from Mack attack? And you bet it will be. What a start there for Mack Melts. A quick 1v3 to start this bad boy off.
He was literally trapped in a box. He's in a box right here. How is no one going in there getting a trade? The guy's just finessing the entire time. And if you're Mack, that is a way to start this game off, man. Because obviously, Asim opens up with the first blood. He gives away his life for free. I don't know why Asim peeked back through Delhi. Don't really understand it, but it doesn't matter. Mack still finds himself in a position of clutch up the round for NYSL. Mack attack going big early in this game for New York. That was insane.
That was nuts. You called it perfectly. He's literally trapped in a box. He is trapped in a box and he breaks out of it. Unbelievable stuff from Mack. My goodness. A 1v3 to start. That has to shake your confidence if we're Legion. We talk about confidence coming into this for Subliners. I know those comms have got to be loud, specifically from that man right there out of Asim. Never one to shy away from giving his teammates some props, as I'll walk away with that first blood. And that is a great way to start things off, being on the defensive end and knowing that this A push is somewhat imminent. Scraps is just looking for the angle toward top tank.
You just got to keep in mind, look at the positioning of HyDra. HyDra's still that player that still can be going to the back, but he might not even have to spawn in on this round as his teammates are picking up all the kills. That's going to be another clean round from New York, opening up with the first blood, then finding the second, and then just forcing Paris to try to make a play. No one trying to be Superman, everyone playing correctly, and the round was just super easy for New York. They find themselves up 2-0. And so far, this has been a dominant search and destroy from NYSL.
Yeah, I mean, Mack's kind of late game heroics.
That's first round, 1v3. Oh my god.
You could say it was dominant. I mean, it was quite impressive. As now Mack will increase the score just by 1. Now starting off 4-0. Like I said, that last round absolutely clinical from the Subliners, and kind of changing up the strategy. If you're Asim, as we mentioned, you know, in round 1, maybe a little bit of too aggressive play instead of Deli, but walks away with that first blood. And speaking of first bloods, it will not just be 1, it'll be 2 to start from New York. And maybe that dominance will only look to continue through our first 3. Scraps in desperate need to find a pick. And he'll somehow get what I think that was like the last bullet that he decided to fire through the picket fence. As we'll wave goodbye to HyDra for the time. Paris keeping things a little bit closer, now down by 1 man in this round. Scraps lays down the fire once more. That's going to be Mack dropping off of his spree. Now into the 2 versus 2. Could it be Paris's turn to answer an emphatic way? But they line up coming out of Granny's. And that'll be the Subliners with those 2 kills. Now making it 3 rounds to zip.
That was just a beautiful round right there from New York. They start with the early back alley pressure. They take down both players there. Then 2 players drop on the side of NYSL, 2v2 situation. But the entire time Mack was stalling, it allowed his teammates to push up back alley, eventually get behind both of those players and make the round look easy as New York take a commanding lead in this game, up 3-0 so far. Diamondcon on a 4 spree as well. Now they're going to be on the defense. They do have a couple trophy systems to work with as well towards that A site. Scraps is going to be in towards top window. They're able to spot him, so the double challenge is going to try to come in. But Mack, he's going to give him his back. He's going to get dropped from temp, but forces into a 3v3, make it a 3v2 as Diamond finds one in the middle of the map.
That's just a great heads-up play there from the Subliners to try to bring this one back, but hold on. Zaptius comes through with 2, and Scraps there with the 3rd. We take maybe a half second to try to give some props to the Subliners and the Legion. Pull the rug right out from underneath us. We talk about constantly Zaptius throughout his career, throughout his season. The impact player for the Ravens when he was part of that group, and ever since he's joined this Legion group as well. His kills, I mean, you could argue mean the most on the map, as that double will totally halt us in our progression, as the Legion will be able to put one up on the board, and the best time to do it is now NYSL. Begin things on the attack.
And they're just keeping up the aggression. This time not attacking through that bottom wood. Asim is going to push right through the middle of the map. Put some early shots in towards Deli. Not able to find a kill there though. New York, they have full wood control. They only have to just keep in track where Zaptius is, because this guy likes to hit that late flank. So you see number 2, he's slowly just going to be approaching that situation. Asim's going to try to approach to the middle of the map. He's going to get dropped, so now Paris have the man advantage.
Asim thought he had the leg up, but he's the one getting leg dropped at the end of the day. Paris now with numbers. That bomb making its way up toward A. I was going to say HyDra and Scraps look like they could have a interesting greeting had Mack not stopped them in his tracks. And with that, Mack once more finding a pick. They're on to temp. Now bring us to a 3 versus 3. Mack once more dominating, whether inside of the box or outside of the box. As all these kills have come in numbers of different shades and sizes. And how about the snap? Woo!
Doing them dirty. Doing them dirty, man. Let me tell you, Mack attack is on fire right now. He gets that early kill on the temp, and then he knows that there has to be someone in this position of the square next to that A bomb. He finds that second kill, and then Diamondcon puts himself in a great position in towards top wood to watch any players from Paris off the rotation. And then Mack with the beautiful snap, give him 3 on the round, 7-2 so far for New York, stepping up big in this game 5, trying to close this one out. As we find Paris on the attack once again, New York they just have to continue on that pressure, man. That has what's been their key to success so far in this game 5. You have to continue to be aggressive, and you see what HyDra and Diamondcon are trying to do to that back alley early in this round.
with that presence for the back alley, then puts all the pressure there onto Asim escaping. And of course, it's Mackenzie coming through with another big kill to start off the round. As now we're into the 4 versus 2. Subliners with numbers as HyDra does get found out. Scraps looking for the much needed reply, but Asim is there to find the headshot. And it's all on to Maddie Marshall. 1 round away for New York being on series point. What does Scraps have up his sleeve? It's going to have to be mastery, as the Subliners will find their 5th round. They continue, Stud, to handle business here at the box. You see, Asim, he's getting shot in the back from his teammates when it doesn't matter. Mack's taking nearly everybody down.
Yeah, man. New York, they're just making this map look easy, man. They are undefeated on the season, and this is exactly why. These rounds are just coming to them so easy, as you have Asim working on a 3 spree, Mack already on a 4. Back on the attack they go. Paris needs to try to figure something out, man. Aqua currently sitting at 1-6. This is a guy who can really take over in search and destroy, but the early pressure is going to be in towards middle courtyard. Aqua finds first, but New York, they answer with 2 of their own. So now what was a 4v3 man advantage makes it a 3v2, make it a 2v2 as Aqua does find another one.
The only problem for Paris is not just the situation that you find yourselves in, but the fact that Mack is still on the map. And Aqua very well could join forces here soon. It looks as if they're part of the same team, but they are not. Mack maybe getting the call out information of where Simp happens to be. Still 40 seconds in this round, a lot of time for both teams to make a play, both teams to make something happen. And of course, it's Mack once more, 9-2, and it all comes down to Aqua. Will Mack seal their fate, or will it be Aqua coming up clutch to send us to an extra round to play? It's on to HyDra, and it will be a W. Put it in the books. The Subliners answer emphatically here in the Game 5. Walking away with their first victory here in Stage 5. A series with questions. A series we didn't know how the Subliners would come out to play, but that is the best way to reply back. Taking down a solid and steady Paris group.
Just a great series from New York, man. I know they've went through a lot to even be in this position that they are in. Obviously, Clayster benching himself. Just got to tip the hat to the old man. He's sitting back really proud of these young guys, man. They were able to put it together in such a short time to come out with this win. Winning 2 respawns versus a team like Paris, who looked really good in hardpoint, who won their last control. I wasn't really expecting that, but then to get it all the way to a Game 5, this was their bread and butter map. This is the one that they were undefeated on the entire year so far, and they handle business, man. If you're New York, if you're Asim, great leadership. Yeah. At least just great job from all the rookie players, man, really stepping up to get this win. Diamond Con, you know, it's been some time since he was back in the CDL, but he's back and he made his impact felt, man. The guys from New York really stepped up today, took it 1 map at a time, and eventually close out the series, get their first series on the Stage 5, a little bit of confidence underneath their belt now.
Yeah, and that has to sting. Obviously, if you're on the opposite end there for the Legion, we talk about them. You know, the Stage 5 Major is really their event to look forward to, as that'll be their final, major, of course, and they'll not be attending playoffs, and a loss there really puts themselves in a difficult position. We're talking about nearly being in the top 3 spot, and obviously we'll be taking a look at the road to the majors, where both teams sit at this moment, and maybe how they can potentially turn things around. I mean, crazier things have happened before, but they really needed a W there, and now their fate will have to sit probably in another team spot and maybe in their own lap as well, as they'll have one more game to close out their stage. But as we said, man, New York, they're able to come away with the answer. And as we mentioned, it was a number of different players having to step up, kind of being in a new position. Yeah. We talked about Asim making plays, Diamond Con having great moments. I mean, just a number of different sequences where players had to go big for the roster. And in this Game 5, man, it was Mack from the start. It was Mack toward the finish. Has an incredible game. And what, man, in that round 1 starts off with a crazy 1 versus 3. And it's no surprise that he's going to be featured in our Scump play of the game.
And let me tell you, this is just not easy to do. If you're a player like Mack, you get put into this box situation at that A-bomb, you're expecting someone to go in there and immediately trade it. But Asim in this round, he finds that first blood, and this is where I feel like Asim needs to stay alive. You need to force a couple of those Paris players to just continue to try to worry about you. Not to worry about that bomb, but unfortunately he drops, so now all their focus has to be on towards A. To do a good job of just trading these kills back and forth, you still see Scraps was that annoying player able to pick up Diamond Con on the flank. Eventually they take down HyDra, so now it's all left up to Mack. Mack is trapped in a box, like I said it, man. He slides in and is able to get that shot punch onto the first player and then able to find the second kill onto Aqua. But this is just great work, great sound cue usage right here out of Mack to make sure that he was just rejuvenating his health the entire time. And just look at the reaction out of his team. You can just tell, like, wow, he actually just did that. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable performance out of that young man.
Diamond Con's like, all right, no, you had that in you, bud, but cool. We'll take the hype. We'll take that round number 1. And with that, as we mentioned, the Subliners get their first victory here in Stage 5. I mean, not to put it in a negative way, but it's been their worst start to a stage yet, but they're able to answer back here in the biggest of circumstances versus the Paris Legion. But they still have, I guess you could say, a little more of a difficult task ahead of them. What, man, they've got the Atlanta FaZe still to try and take on to close out their stage. But folks, make sure, of course, it will be the Major 5 going down. Tickets are on sale. Of course, it will be at the Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas. I've been told that tickets are going fast, so you better get yours now. And it's going to be, under the lake there, of course. You can try to get yourself I think it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. But like we said, folks, what a start to the day. A crazy Game 5, to put it lightly. When we come back after the break, it is Lottie, joined alongside by Asim.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Unlock a CDL team pack with any purchase on gamefuel.com/CDL while supplies last. Offer ends on August 31st. Tournament audio and team listen-ins are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Hello everybody and welcome to your GameFuel Victory Spotlight. Joining me this time I have Asim from New York Subliners. First of all, congratulations, man. Way to rally together as a team today, and obviously it must have been a whirlwind of emotions for you. You know, obviously this week finding out Clayster was, taking a break. Tell us, what has it been like for you personally having to deal with this and come into it with basically a fresh plate, especially with leadership and the role that you're playing here?
Yeah, Lottie, I feel like I have big shoes to fill with Clayster being out for the majority of time. I'm not sure how long he's taking a break. But as of right now, we've been really focusing on Diamond Con. I've been really focusing on and turning up to be a in-game leader. I've already been sort of like the co-leader to Clay. Like I call the plays in S&D. Like I'm already there, so I just need to step it up a little bit more. But yeah, I've had a lot of big shoes to fill, especially with him being out. I just recently moved to Texas, so a lot's been happening for me this year. But I mean, it's nothing new to me. I mean, I've gone through so much this year. I'm just super proud of the boys. So yeah.
Yeah, you really have, man. You've been through a lot. I have so much respect for you being able to be here and rallying up like you have. And I actually said at the beginning of the broadcast that if anybody could fill those shoes, if anybody could be the leader on this team, it would be you. You have been so incredible leading the SMGs. And like you said, kind of like a sub to Clay and his leadership. You did an epic job today. How did you feel yourself and the boys played?
I felt really good. I feel like we have sparks of like being that top team again. We're making up a lot of simple mistakes in that series, I feel like, but I mean, we've only had 2 days with DiamondCon. Like we've still got to touch up on a lot of our plays. Like a lot of those S&D plays, like we haven't really done much because we have such short time with it. But I'm super proud. I think I have a lot of potential in this team. I think we all do, and we just had this new fire because we don't want to end off the year with such a poor performance. Like we've been second all year long in the standings, so we just want to get back to that and be able to like make the finals again and win, hopefully.
Amazing stuff. I love to hear that like level of motivation coming from you as well. Now, you did say you weren't sure, but is there any timetable of Clay being back? Do you expect him to be back before the season is out?
As of my expectations, I don't think so. I think if things change, things change. I mean, there's been a lot of drastic changes with this New York Subliners, like Zuma stepping down with the hand injury a day before the preseason. Like we've had a lot of crazy jumps. Oof. I mean, I didn't make the major last stage, but there's been a lot of drastic changes for the New York Subliners. But I mean, hey, if he doesn't come back, we're fine with it. We're gonna get it out. We're gonna work it out. We're gonna try to figure this all out. So.
I love it, man. The attitude is incredible. I love to hear it. And I tell you what, you guys have been through it. You guys really have been through it. But you know what?
Better days ahead, Lottie. Better days ahead.
Better days ahead, man. That's the attitude. I love to hear this. Asim, thank you so much for your time, bro. I respect you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Lottie. I appreciate you.
Well, there you have it. We've heard from the man of the hour, the guy who's had to really step up above everyone else for this team. And do you know what? They've done it. They've got a W across the board. It's been absolutely incredible. They've rallied together, and honestly, New York fans, you should be super proud of those boys. Now, after this quick break, we do indeed have a banger coming your way. OpTic. They need to win this game to make it 4-0 this stage, and London Royal Ravens have their work cut out if they want to spoil the fun. Your last match of the day coming right after this.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
street and bottom building. And there they get 3. They flood it through the bottom. Last guy up around the hard point will be Arcitys. He's just laying prone, waiting for the help to come in. But Envoy again, brilliant as he gets near the objective. The break is through once again, and OpTic Chicago get the map 1 win.
Nice.
Yo, Dill, give me some. Good shit,
It's back and forth, and OpTic able to win round 5.
Let's go, let's go.
Go, baby. Let's go.
Gonna be a big one-on-one here. aBeZy hit down to 60, hit down to 30. The pinch is in, the win is in, and finally OpTic, they get their win in the series. They take a search and destroy, and you can see the boys are fired up about that one.
Go, man. Let's get it, boys.
Let's go, baby.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just days ago, OpTic Chicago, this very lineup, taking down the Atlanta FaZe, handing them their 5th loss of the season. I mean, what's up? This has to do with we talk about this team, how they've constantly met up against the Atlanta FaZe, but have just not been good enough. OpTic with a huge win over that team, and now putting themselves with a win today. They could start off 4-0 in this very group. One that's been chaotic, one that's been crazy. What a start it could be for OpTic if they were able to sweep this group. It would be their first time walking away with the first seed all season long. Oh boy, it's going to be a fun one. Of course, it's late. I was starting to join you guys again. It was a crazy Game 5 series that we witnessed. But on topic with that stud, Ravens versus OpTic, how you feel about Chicago's chances, as we mentioned, of going 4-0 to start?
Well, I'm definitely really confident in them going 4-0 because when you're coming off a win versus FaZe, the best team in the game, your momentum, everything is just all the way skyrocketing, man. You could just tell as we heard the ending of that, everyone was just getting hyped, man. Finally getting over that hump for the OpTic boys was such a big part. It's not going to be easy because London, they don't really have much to play with, so they're just trying to spoil a lot of teams' parties right now, and OpTic, they just cannot allow that to happen. They need to get this first seed going into that Major 5.
Well, there's no party like an OpTic party, that's for sure. They would definitely be celebrating after a win today. Can they make it a 4-0 start to stage 5 with the Ravens now being in their crosshairs? Let's go ahead and meet the team, OpTic Chicago.
Brutal, mighty keeps it going. Normal, looking fantastic. Envoy slaying his way through. Scump from up high, the king.
I'm out here doing what they thinking is irrational.
Really starting to run that score up.
I'm gonna make it make it back, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, OpTic game in a back. Chicago are a force to be reckoned with.
There you have it, OpTic Chicago. Again, that cannot be understated. A major win versus the Atlanta FaZe to close out their last week. And I mean, what's that? I mean, how does it really affect the comms? How does it affect the chemistry of the team, the confidence of this group when you take down a very, very difficult roster like Atlanta?
I'm telling you, when probably the comms before then, it's just like, all right, guys, let's go out there and do our best. We haven't beat these guys all year. But then once you beat that team in Atlanta FaZe the way that they did it, all the way in the round 11, this is where they start thinking about championships. We finally got over that hump, man. We have what it takes to compete with the best in the game. Everyone right now is playing really consistent, especially Envoy. The guy is having himself a stage, man. In the series versus FaZe, he had like a 1.2, and he basically shut down Simp and aBeZy. And you don't really see that often, man. But he can continue to play with that much confidence on this team. They're going to be scary for these last 2 events that we have.
Oh, without a doubt, my friend. As you mentioned, Envoy's been going off for the Chicago side, and I guess you could say on topic with the SMGs. Our next team that we're about to meet, it was all the SMGs when they took down the Subliners in a crazy Game 5 series. It was Alex and it was Afro. It was the Alex and Afro show, really, and they're looking to maybe have a second episode, maybe even a second season. Let's go and meet the group, though. Your London Royal Ravens. You love them. It's the London Royal Ravens. What, man? I mean, I tell you what, They come into that last series versus the Subliners. Not a whole lot of people thinking too much of this team. But as we mentioned, it was Afro and Alex, but specifically it was that man Alex Stud who took over for what feels like the first time this year.
Yeah, I felt like ever since Alex has made his return to the CDL, he hasn't really been comfortable, man. He was sitting at a .61, and that's something that I was not expecting. When you think of a player like Alex, this is a guy who has the potential to be one of the top submachine guns. I remember when I used to watch him and Dylan, they used to always have that battle back in the day, but he's finally feeling more comfortable with this roster, and it definitely showed in that series versus New York. But let's just hop right into our keys to victory for the London Royal Ravens. We've been waiting for the arrival of Alex, player that when he plays that confident, he really took over versus New York. He had a 1.18 on the series. Like I said, ever since he's came back, he's at a .61, so that's such a drastic jump. You're gonna need that guy to continue up his gameplay. And then also, Alex and Afro looked excellent in their last series, but in this matchup here, it needs to be a full-on team effort, because so far, at least for the two ARs, they're sitting at .8. So you need those guys to step up. SMGs are dominating, at least off of their previous matchup. But when you're going up against OpTic, you got Dashy, you got Formal. So you need Construction Man Seany, and you need the Red Menace and PaulEhx to really go off.
Yeah, it has to be a team effort. And I know quickly, just on topic with Alex, I think it was Breaking Point, shout out to those guys. They posted like 4 years ago, you know, on the day, it was Alex under that Uni-led team back in World War II, Fryan. Like we said, he could be the ultimate difference in the series today, along with the rest of the roster. But now our game field keys to victory here for OpTic Chicago continue to dominate in the respawns. And what, they're 3-1 in hardpoint. Their only loss coming to Atlanta FaZe, and so far 3-0 in control. As you mentioned, Stud, Envoy was unstoppable in the win versus FaZe, a 1.21 KD in that series. That same level of play today could cause some problems for the Royal Ravens. And then finally, and I want to let you kind of, I guess, talk more about this. Continue to take calculated risks in the search and destroy. Talk to me about that with this OpTic team.
Yeah, so what I mean by that is just basically when you're watching them in search and destroy, they're most successful when Envoy and Scump are working together. And then even in that series versus FaZe, in a 5-5 situation, we're talking about those calculated risks. There's no way in hell you expect a player in a 5-5 to run straight up the middle of the map, to be aggressive as they were to get that guy off bomb, and that's exactly what they did. Envoy was that player to push up the middle of the map, open up with that first blood, and then the trade started going back and forth, but it was great. As long as OpTic can just keep that up. The teamwork, the aggression that Scump and Envoy do in search and destroy is so beneficial to their overall game mode in S&D. They need to keep that up and continue to take those calculated risks to close out some of these games.
We'll see how they fare on both Moscow and the Raid S&Ds, and what, it's going to be Raid and Moscow throughout the entirety of this bad boy. As we said, Raid Hardpoint, Moscow S&D, Raid Control, Moscow Hardpoint, and Raid S&D to close out this series, if it does end up coming down to that Game 5. And what's that? I think it was the Ravens who happened to win a Moscow S&D and a Raid Control in their last series. Only thing was that it was their first wins on those particular map and mode combinations this entire year. So there's that.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty difficult, man. They won Moscow Search and Destroy the first time ever versus New York, and the same thing with Control Raid. So you're going up against a difficult team in Chicago who really enjoy those maps, and just Hardpoint Moscow, Hardpoint Moscow, Hardpoint, Raid Moscow, Raid Moscow. It's going to be all over the place with these maps. But in this very first map, I think Chicago, sitting at a 4-6 record, they're going to have a little bit more experience compared to London, who are sitting at 2-4. Just the biggest takeaway on this map for me has to be P2. Whoever can dominate the kitchen holds is going to be able to close this one out.
Chicago starting off with that preferred spawn, as you mentioned, toward that back kitchen side. It'll be the middle left of your screen. In case you are maybe new to the Call of Duty League, we first of all welcome you. What should be a phenomenal way to close out the day. Chicago versus Ravens getting started. As it's OpTic walking away with the early time. You do see a few of the Ravens players, those red arrows, making their way through mid-pit. Be tempting at the idea of going for a kitchen push. They see no adversity at pillars, so they say, you know what? Let's go toward the entire backside of kitchen. We'll see if it'll work out as Formal laying prone. He drops. Ravens players dropping from the front and also getting handled from the back as Dashy nearly with that third kill. Could have been a nice way to start, but still 2-0 for him. OpTic off to a wonderful beginning as once more it's the Ravens' turn to fire their way into kitchen, but it appears it was too good to be true. Too good to be true.
It had to be.
Hey, you know what?
It had
to be
a little bit too good to be true.
It was too good, hey. It's just too solid? I don't know. No, of course, folks. We'll get some word on exactly what went down. Probably a controller problem, maybe a connection issue. Want to make sure that we're in the best position as possible. Being told that it was in fact a mini map problem with one of our players. Instead, it's important to have your mini map. You know, it's important.
Yeah, you
Kinda
need
crucial.
that. There's no way you can play Hardpoint without a mini map. There's no way you can keep track of whatever is going on. So we're gonna get the restart in, but just to talk a little bit more about these two teams, man. London, they're playing spoiler. They know that they're not able to compete at champs, so it's all about just ruining some of these other teams' chances at getting a better seed, and that's exactly what they were able to do last week when they played against New York. We weren't expecting them to come out and win that series, but just tremendous performances out of those SMG players. I feel like Afro, for that team, is a guy that is going to be around for quite some time, man. Ever since he's entered the league for this London roster, he's just been that guy to talk about with this team. He used to be PaulEhx, but now Afro, he's really taking the shine for me.
Yeah, I think it was Pac-Man who I think was like on social media talking about how much or how impressed he's been with Afro's play. And, you know, despite it being the Ravens, their second victory with this entire lineup, which started back in stage 4, you know, it hasn't been the greatest kind of moment for the Ravens. And we talk about, you know, teams who have handled adversity, teams who have gone through a lot. We talk about the Subliners. The same can be said for a team like the Ravens as well. Again, a number of different roster changes. Through the first like 3 to 4 stages, it was a new group every time. The only player who's been here since the very beginning and been through it all is the Scotsman there, that third player from the left, in Seany. And as we said, this roster's gone through a lot, trying to make good on what will be their final event of the season, and that stage 5 major, as you labeled it. And like we said, Stud, there's still a lot to fight for. I mean, we talk about champs. You know, obviously it's hard for a lot of teams because you want to be at the biggest event of the year. There's no question about it. But you still have a $500,000 prize pool at that major. So again, we talk about there's a lot to play for in terms of pride and also in terms of cash. I think it's very fair to mention that too.
Yeah, London, that's their only focus right now, is to try to perform the best they can at that Major 5, because 500 grand, that's a big bag, man, if you can secure that one, man. But let's just hop right back into our game 1. Hopefully everyone has their mini maps, but the way that Afro's all spawned, it's looking like there's going to be another issue, so we might get another restart here.
I don't know, and this definitely was not intended, but like Afro was like bugging out for the Codcaster for a moment. I'm like, what's going on? Is he like literally destroying his trigger, just like bouncing up and down, maybe using that back scuff pedal? Not exactly sure. But again, we apologize, folks, for the few problems that we're having to start off the game. Again, it's just too good. We talk about raid. We got 3 raids in Moscow, 2 of my personal favorite maps, as we'll be pinballing back and forth between them throughout the entirety of the series. But like I said, maybe it's just too good to be true. We can't start off OpTic Chicago and London Royal Ravens after a phenomenal series like that and expect not to have problems. It's gonna happen, you know. It's gonna happen all the time. What are you gonna do, Stud? You gotta have a mini map, you know. You gotta have good connection.
Yeah,
part of the game.
You need a mini map. You need it. You just need it, man. But hopefully we're able to get into this game 1 soon, because I can't wait for it to start.
Yeah, absolutely. As we heavily anticipate what could be a phenomenal start to this series. But folks, we're going to throw it to a quick little commercial break. When we come back, it will be the start of this series. Great Hardpoint, Chicago versus London. Stay with us.
and give him an intro.
Remember when Zin said that to Ben?
Nice. Yo, listen. Yo, no stupid.
I want to hear vibes in the comms.
I'm always vibing in the comms.
Anyone but Sam. Anyone but Sam. Vibe in the comms.
Man, I'm still waiting for an intro.
Hello, what's going on, guys? Let's kick it off.
All right, boys, let's take it to him today, bro. We can mind these kids right here.
Game starts in 2 minutes.
Roger.
Roger that.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's more like it, boys. Oh my god, I'm in the mix now.
Vampires will deep melee. Good 20 seconds ago.
Hard point. Oh, baby.
A triple.
We're about to these guys.
What? That's how you guys say it. There we go.
What does that mean?
It literally means nothing. It literally means it's a made-up word. It's a made-up word.
Like subliners. Made up word. I don't get it.
Use the nothing. You told me you should call me a
I think you did, yeah.
No way. Yeah, man. Get that on the comms check.
Yeah, get on the comms check. Go on, you legends. Honestly, me and Alex are kind of fast. Like, should have seen it.
I'm rapid, mate. Like,
I'm kind of quick.
Me, bro. I'm rapid as well.
I set some pace.
This guy's a knobhead. Oh, that's a bad word, Sam. Good God.
Yeah, my bad.
Let's go.
What is that? Is that English?
Me. 3-5. Captain Headspace over here.
Fist bump to your left, man?
No, because remember, we lose when we do our fist bumps, man.
I just fist bump the cam.
Never heard of a bump like that. Sam, did you get a haircut?
Yeah.
Aren't you gonna grow out your hair long or something like that?
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
Don't act like you know him.
Oh my god. Part-time gamer. Full-time comedian.
Alrighty, friends, welcome back. We once again do apologize for the minor delay that we're experiencing in the game, but I'm being told that everything's being worked out, so you have nothing to worry about. Anyway, now it's time to take a look at our Group A standings, and obviously, Stud, after that last series that we had for the Subliners and the Legion, that definitely kind of shifts things around a little bit. Obviously, the Ravens, they could be in a good spot putting themselves down at 2-2. Same thing for OpTic. They're trying to, continue to dominate in regards to that winner's side. They could very well start off 4-0. There's a lot of little storylines going down in regards to this group. It's been back and forth, and it would not surprise me if now coming in toward the major that we could have some, I don't know, maybe some tiebreakers go down.
I think that OpTic, if they come out and win this, they're going to be able to just take that first seed. Right. They have the head-to-head versus FaZe, so even if FaZe win their the match that they have to play later on this week versus NYSL, still the head-to-head, OpTic will still take first. I think FaZe would be able to take the second, but the third one is really up in the air for me because obviously the Thieves are tied at 2-2. With Paris losing that matchup, that was huge because they had that head-to-head. So Paris had the opportunity to put themselves in winners, but that loss is going to really hurt them. So now Thieves, they have to try to come out and win their final series in that Group A to make it towards winners.
Yeah, and I know that kind of heavily emphasizes, which I know London's here to play against OpTic, but there will be a matchup going down between London and Paris. I know we're getting a little bit kind of, into the very technicalities of, how this one could kind of work. But again, that match may be, more emphasized more than ever in regards to how this year has broken down. So definitely make sure to be watching out for the Battle of Europe. I think that match going down on Saturday, I want to say. But let's go ahead and get back into to how this match is going. I think we just went through a little test. I was watching PaulEhx shoot a van for about 15 seconds. It appears that his gun's firing quite well. So with that, now our Scuff quick scope, and when we take a look at the numbers, pretty one-sided. Let's go ahead and say it that way, Stud.
Yeah, it definitely is. But the main focus for me, at least for this series, has to be that search and destroy. Okay. Obviously, OpTic sitting at 24 and 22, but London at 11 and 26. That's where it really scares me because we watched London last week versus New York. They were able to walk away with the games 1, 3, and 5.
There you go.
But then eventually, it's just their S&D just hasn't been really clicking for them. And OpTic, at least as of recent, their search and destroy is on point. So unless London can match that energy, match the aggression that OpTic are able to put on, then I feel like this series is going to be done and dusted real quick because at least what we got a little taste of that first map. OpTic were looking great to start that map number 1.
They definitely were. They were starting off a good 30, 40-0, and yeah, you got to imagine. You're happy to have a second, third, maybe fourth go of it if you are the Ravens, and who knows, maybe this time they'll strike best. But yeah, I feel like when we talked about the London Royal Ravens in regards to this, opening hard point, I I don't know, like, obviously you and I, we've cashed through the Ravens a lot throughout the year. You know, we've talked about the struggles that they've gone through, but I feel like the continuous talking point around them has been just good starts, right? It's like been the early hardpoint losses have really plagued them. The search and destroys, right? They started off in stage 1, like winless in S&D, and that constantly caused them problems because if they weren't winning hardpoints, Lord knows they weren't winning the S&Ds. And like I said, if it really comes down to good starts, and as you mentioned, the Ravens, they get a good start versus the Subliners, and then from there, they had that cushion throughout the remainder of the series. This game 1, without a doubt, incredibly important for this Ravens roster, as I believe we are good and ready to go. As we said, 3rd time's the charm, possibly. And it appears that Ravens are starting better than they have yet. So that's a positive if you're a London fan, stud.
Yeah, this is great. They off the initial engagements, they're able to win a couple gunfights, get some early pressure on towards this P1 hardpoint. The hill is going to be currently contested, but they're doing a great job of just picking up these kills around it. Now it's all about just trying to flip these spawns, and with 3 dead, it's time to start being aggressive, and that's exactly what's going to happen, as 1 player is going to spawn towards back laundry. 3 players from OpTic are actually going to spawn all the way towards garage. And if you're London, this is the best possible start off. You just have to try to locate this player in Envoy, because he's going to try to spoil it for OpTic and flip these spawns on their head.
Yeah, big plays coming in from Envoy. Paul, meanwhile, was trying to hold off the onslaught coming in from middle. Envoy will at least have Scump to join alongside of him for the start of this kitchen hill, but a 40-point start, 40-point advantage, rather, for London, as we labeled it. A total flip-flop from the way that this one initially began. Afro tosses out the nade, receiving some fire from that bank on the top money window, but he is going to get the assistance, and that's a great hold there coming in from the Ravens. They break on in despite some good heroics out of the Chicago SMGs, but they hold the line, and now they set themselves up quite nicely for the remaining 30, as it's now into the 3-on-3.
Yeah, and before the series even started, I said that Afro is taking the spotlight away from Mr. Red Menace himself, but he's taking it right back. So far in the beginning of this game, he's sitting at 7-2, not able to pick up some streaks, but just keep up the slaying for his teammates, as they are going to have to hit the rotation towards this garage hill. Formal's going to be the only player from OpTic in this position, so he has to just try to stay alive, play, and wait for his teammates to eventually get towards him, as the pinch is going to be coming through the middle of the map. Number 7 in Envoy is able to spot 1. They just have to try to find one of these kills before the hill pops, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Envoy finds the first, and eventually the pinch is going to be set up.
Pesky Envoy trying to make a stamp of approval happen inside of the flank as he gets cut down. Then that puts all the pressure onto the ARs. Dashy jumps right in the frame of Formal. And with that, the ARs will take control now over at Lambo's. A back-and-forth rotation. Final 20 of Kitchen going the way of OpTic. It appears that they have won the rotation now toward Garage as well. Let's go ahead and step aside and see how those comms are sounding. So we'll go to an Astro Liston now with OpTic Chicago.
Yeah, I got it. Come bring me, Bruce.
I'm coming.
Bait me here. Yep. Let's go show presence in the back and then hit maybe.
Alright, yeah, I'm down for that. I'm flashing top.
I'll meet up with the guys' kitchen.
Okay? I flash on top.
Okay, Bruce, you can stay here if you want. Yeah, we're gonna go back to kitchen.
Yo, one's but on us.
I fucked up my nade. I'm coming
Paul dead.
Nice, we can him in.
I'm on a 6, guys. Wait for me, Kitch.
You ready? I'm flying. Let's Kitch. Behind pillar, back door weak.
I'm coming in.
Yo, pillar weak. Money and pillar. Money and pillar.
Yo, money, more money.
Seth, let's jump up.
Yo, he's left side pillar.
Front side hill. They have no trophies.
Pillar weak, Paul. More money.
I have your child.
Money. I'll kill money weak to the right. Laying down. Still in the back, yeah.
I'm going cut out.
I'm going cut out with you, yo.
I'm going from.
Cut out.
Close cut out then.
Nice.
Another one here. Deep back.
I'm gonna
one shot.
Nice, 2. One
shot time, absolute time.
Yeah,
absolute time, back left.
Back left.
Dead. Another one close.
Close for the weak. Inside hut. I got full streaks though. Inside the hut.
Dead. One more behind me.
I'm coming.
I'm going ring.
They're gonna be new.
In front of me.
Yo, front.
Pillars.
Most money.
Nice, 3.
Gonna be Art.
He's in not weak, Shawnee. They're both.
He's naded.
Dick rock.
Afro, we got our steps. 2 water steps.
He's laying down.
You wanna go water steps?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
I flashed 2 water steps. I can streak.
Yo, he's left side water steps. Paul dead.
Watch guys.
Another one water steps. Afro weak. Last guy water steps. He's down. He's in the corner.
I'm taking
I have water.
I have Zig. I have your hook Zig. I have an air.
He flashed me in ring.
He
kid.
One
ring dead.
One more pull, Afro.
I'm still holding.
They're spawning in
pull me. Afro, 1-shot pull. Absolute water steps.
I have a pinch.
One's ring on me.
I spawn laundry.
I still have all ring.
Ring dead. Zig, fall.
Zig fall.
Nice, three.
Watch it down.
Put in spawn there, bro.
Right now, water.
Where they spawning? Where they spawning?
Yeah, I heard.
Okay.
He's not picking.
I'm saying on
Sean,
this.
he's pitching.
Two art on me. I'm watching Zig.
Two art? Alright, I'm coming up.
Yo, one shot going in money. He's in money, one shot. Afro.
I'll look driveway.
Driveway
I
already,
think
Paul.
Driveway and low art.
Already close.
Three there side hill.
Yo, kitchen after done.
Nice, he's going water.
Yeah.
I'm pinching this.
They spawn court behind you, Matt.
Hey,
I'm gonna go Brennan. Or behind you, Brennan.
Arcitys, Alex.
One shot. That's us.
All right, OpTic off to a great start as Dashy already sits at 20-10. And one thing that I took away from those comms was really just the management of how OpTic played around Dashy. You heard at different moments Envoy just being super calm, saying, you know what, Brandon, you're gonna stay here at pit. We'll try to rush on through. You try to play your life. Just the awareness of how valuable those streaks were, and really from there, Chicago just continues to reign on through, up 160 to 110. Just cool, calm, and composed so far from OpTic as Dashy is looking to release that second streak now.
Yeah, and now they know that they have to try to flip these spawns. So at least if they're able to get a good chunk of time off of this P1, they'll still be in the driver's seat. They just cannot allow this time to go in favor of London and also the rotation to go in favor of London. So you see number 7 in Envoy, Mr. Route Man, trying to get paid a little bit more. Gonna be pushing himself to water stats, but actually he's shortcut through the middle of the map. I would like to see him go all the way around basketball, because now that's gonna set up London fully for this kitchen hill, only being down 32 points. This is exactly the situation that London want to be in.
We talk about sprees. I know it was Dashy. Envoy nearly found streaks as well. Afro 1 kill away from earning that artillery barrage. And it's going to be 4 men strong toward the backside of jungle. Shawnee's able to deal with the first. Formal and Envoy there to answer for the other 2. But will it set up Afro as that'll be the first? Trying to stay alive. 50 HP, but can't round the corner. Does earn the artillery at the least. So with 30 very valuable points left up, it's the decision-making of the Ravens with those streaks that could indicate whether or not it will be OpTic continuing to distance themselves or the Ravens bringing themselves back. Sloppy P2 there from Ravens. As OpTic will put themselves once more in the driver's seat. Now coming in toward Garage, what kind of impact can Dashy continue to make? Study sits at 24-13.
The guy's just going off, man. Bruce is answering the call early into this series, and it was just a good job off the rotation. You forced 2 players from Ravens to spawn all the way out across the map. Envoy still in a position, at least blocking that spawn for the time being, but allowing his teammates from OpTic to push around towards this air-conditioned side and try to get some contests going. As you see Scump approaching towards that yellow Lambo, he's actually going to drop. That's going to be 3, make it 4. PaulEhx is able to find 3, currently on a 4 spree. They're trying to put themselves back into this game, only being down 25 points. OpTic only have like 1 or 2 good pushes to try to bake into this, because they have to try to focus off the rotation. You just have to keep in mind that Afro still has that streak to work with.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't have to use it here at Garage in case OpTic got things a little bit too close for comfort. So, but now with basketball court up next, that is a perfect hill to utilize that streak. Is what we're going to be at a Ravens advantage coming in toward this hill. We talked about this one in specific. It could be the biggest money hill of the map. Afro will at least look for the information to start. Does he decide to call this in? As the final few seconds begin to come through, here come the streaks. The Scump and Dashy getting a little bit close. They will stay alive at the very least, so that streak, well, it does begin to silence things for a moment. Formal does find one from the back, and with that, it's going to be the Ravens having to force this one in from the front. So the streak not really playing as much of a factor as you'd like, and that's going to be 2 big ones coming in from Envoy. Knows where Paul is at. You'd give him the 3rd one as well. Now make it 4 in a row for Envoy, as OpTic are within 20 points. They can win it here.
Yeah, OpTic just have to hold. You cannot allow London to try to break in through this front side, but 2 players are actually going to drop. That's going to be able to put the pressure on it through this front. But Formal and Scump, T2P going huge to close out this game number 1. There's enough time here for them to get it done. It's only a matter of time now.
It's a matter of moments. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and you can put this one in the books. It will be another hardpoint victory for OpTic Chicago. The respawns continue to be dominant. And despite the late game heroics, despite the late game streak usage there from Afro and the Ravens, OpTic all the superior. They hold on and they take it at basketball.
Yeah, to get the hold, man. And if you're London, I feel like you should have used that streak a little bit better, because there was only one player pushing around the backside. There were two players trying to approach through the middle of the map. But by the time Afro called it in, there was no one forcing or at least blocking a spawn on the side of OpTic. Once they were able to not drop anyone, they got one kill, and eventually it was traded. OpTic still had those back spawns, and that's not what you want if you're London. You need to be able to break into that hard point, get some early kills with the rotation to spawn those guys out to make it a little bit easier. But even when they had the man advantage right there, T2P go huge, finding 2 kills each to close out that game number 1. Good first map out of OpTic.
Yeah, great first map and a great team victory as well. But the man who really kind of led, I guess you could say in slang, has to be Dashy. 26 and 17, lays down 4,500 damage. It was his streak to start, and really just his dominance throughout the map just caused the Ravens to have quite a bit of headaches. But with that, it is OpTic answering early in the hard point. Folks, when we come back, it is going to be Moscow Search and Destroy.
Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by ActiveStat, the next generation analytics platform built with Google Cloud that brings fans, players, and commentators the power of competitive statistics in real time. Get insurance savings and discounts from USAA, the official insurance partner of the Call of Duty League.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to our second series of the day. OpTic getting the job done to start off in the hard point. And I guess we'll keep the conversation here with this group. Specifically, Stub, we'll be taking a look at Search and Destroy for this team so far throughout Stage 5. And fair to say, the numbers, very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent if you ask me. It's looking like one of our producers just said it's almost like a straight flush, just right there. Only thing throwing them off is a couple numbers, man. But OpTic and Search and Destroy, they have starting to see success, man. And I just feel like it's a lot heavily on the way that Scump and Envoy play. As long as they are staying aggressive with those SMGs, containing that map control, and just taking constructive risk. Like, that is the biggest thing, is to make sure that your risks are worth taking. When they find themselves in a 5-5 versus FaZe, running up the mid map was the best call, and it works out for them. So they just need to make sure that they are confident in all their play calls and they're keeping their aggression up to par.
Yeah, I want to ask you too, like on a map like Moscow Search and Destroy specifically, I mean, where do you expect, if those risk, kind of those risk type plays from Scump and Envoy are going to come out, where do you expect it to be on the map, on what side, etc.?
I feel like on defenses, at least early into the game, they're going to be double stacking A.
Yeah.
Those two are going to be an army of two on the map, just making sure the engagements are quick. They'll be there to be at it early enough with those SMGs in their hands. But then on the offense, I feel like that is where you allow Envoy to really just spread his wings, become that island player, and slowly work the map by himself, because Scump, he is their bomb carrier. So he's going to work with Formal and Dashy a little bit more on their offenses. But on defenses, I expect Envoy and Scump to run around together.
Very, very well laid out there from good old Jeremy Stud. As now we'll head into the search and destroy. OpTic beginning things off on the attacking side. We'll see who can answer early. Ravens, we discuss, after a game 1 hardpoint loss, the best way to turn things around is just to get a few rounds on the board to start, not allowing that momentum to continue in the opposing team's favor. But with those tacticals tossed down, it will give OpTic the lane necessary toward the top side of Eskies. It is going to be a 3 versus 2 fight if they were to initiate it now. Envoy continues to roam. Nobody yet to drop off the map, though.
Yeah, London are not giving up anything. They're just forcing OpTic to try to make a play. And that's exactly what's going to happen. If the early engagement is going to be on towards A, Scump's actually going to read it. Scump's able to find the second as well. And just like that, if you're London, the coverage that you had at this A bomb is completely going to be decimated. As now OpTic find themselves in a 4v2 situation. Bomb's going to go down. They have the information that 2 players are rotating back through their spawn. It's going to be a difficult task for Seany and PaulEhx, but they can definitely cause some problems. They can open up with at least the early kill.
Nice little angle there from Seany. Through the hedges, nearly. He'll get picked apart there from Dashy, and I want to say that might have been Scump over at the bomb site to find a final player coming through from White, but really just the way that this round started off, excellent plays coming in from Scump, just picture perfect, constant headshots. Off with their heads, says the King, as he'll really wisely back up to place down this objective. I tell you what, I mean, he's had such a great year in Search and Destroy so far throughout the season, Stud. We talked about his ability, not just in the objective department, but also just in terms of slaying. I mean, well, I think throughout the entirety of the season, he's been kind of in that top 5, top 3 conversation for best S&D KD in the league. It's a mode that he prides himself on.
And that's the craziest part, is that he's up there with some of the best S&D players in this game so far, and he is their bomb carrier. Usually don't see the OBJ player building up some insane stats the way the King is doing recently in this game mode, man. He just has to keep it up for this squad, because S&D is that game mode from back in the day. You win S&Ds, it's going to win you championships. So as long as you keep up that same level of play, that's exactly what's going to happen. And you see the early pressure coming in from Scump and Envoy on towards this A bomb. Unfortunately, Formal is going to drop. The trade is going to be there, but not in a 3v3. London have full control of A.
And with that, they may just, I was going to say, just decided to go ahead and rotate this one. Maybe somewhat uncomfortable given the amount of perspectives that OpTic can hold at that A site. But the one straggler who will stay behind for the time is actually going to be Seany. And with his presence, I mean, if he just fires a few shots, that's instantly going to distract Chicago. They want to try to pounce onto the bomb site. Meanwhile, it's the other side of the map where the objective is in fact going down. So just very well played here from Seany, not just to value his life, but also to free up his teammates, as Afro will shut down Dashy on the boulevard. And with that, it's into the 2 versus 3, the retake necessary for Envoy and Scump. As you said, the 2 players are going to be working so well in tandem throughout the map. Envoy, 74U, no go. Craig, absolutely. But in toward the middle of the bomb site, it is Envoy there with the trade. It's going to have to be the round by himself. Now into the 1v1 versus Seany, and you bet that he'll take that one too. Picture perfect there from Dylan Envoy, as he'll go big in the later stages. It was Ravens who had man count, who had preferred positioning, but it's Envoy who's able to claim the round.
He just made that look so easy. Like, with the first kill, obviously Afro was not going to know this positioning of Envoy. Just a great awareness out of Envoy to pick up that kill. So now it's a 2v2. He spots this player as he gets traded onto Scump, but then he knows that this player, he's already cleared out the street. He's already cleared out the middle of the map. So there's only one possible spot for Seany. This is the guy that was shooting him in the back previously when they were rotating over that bomb site at A. So they knew exactly where he was going to be. Envoy plays it beautifully, is able to spot him, and eventually pick up the kill, close out the round for OpTic. 4 kill spree so far for Envoy. Really having a good map 2 so far.
Yeah, and I also think he had the first blood. So I'm pretty sure that was the ace there for
Ace?
Envoy.
Yeah, that was clean.
That was very clean. I almost didn't know how to call it at the end, because I'm like, he's making this 1v2/2v3 look just all that easy. Excellent plays coming through from this guy as he just had an absolute tear of a performance versus the Atlanta FaZe. Had a 1.2 KD. He's also, along with Dashy and Formal, sits in the top 10 KDs right now. The entire league in Stage 5. But this OpTic team just really seeming to peak at the right time. If they can combine just great search and destroy performance along with how great they've been in the respawns, that could be OpTic's chance. Walking away with a major victory, or at least a solid placement toward the end of the year. But here come the trades. Alex and Envoy, the first few players to sacrifice their life, and we'll see who it's worth it for as the nice beams come in from Formal. Seany, meanwhile, in this cutoff, could find himself in a good spot, but Scump wins the fight. The 74 versus Krig in a medium range engagement, and it's the King who's able to win it. As now it's into the 2 versus 1. Afro, as that bomb gets planted, the all more to do. The objective, the kills, better yet the time, but he's got the beams for the first. Afro versus Scump. Veteran versus rookie. What a big round this could be for Afro, making his way all the way toward the backside, but Scump's gonna read him, and he's able to win the round as well. Such great plays from the SMGs, as now it's Scump's turn.
Yeah, that first kill was nasty from Afro. Hit Dashy with that old school drop shot action, but it's not easy when you're still going up against the King in a 1v1, man. He uses his headset right there. The sound cues come in as he does decide to hop on top of that bus stop. Easy gunfight for the King, man. SMG up close. Afro's probably watching Scump back in his prime, man. So that one was one of those for the ages if you're Afro, because I know he's been looking up to Scump for quite some time. And that's a 1v1 that he wished he can get back. But OpTic find themselves up 3-0. Scump once again going clutch. Looking good so far in this search and destroy. Back on the defense they go, though. And this time London, they're going to be taking this bomb over towards B. And this might work out completely because no OpTic players are going to be on that side of the map.
Yeah, and when you look at that scorecard, again, it's 3-3 from both Afro and Alex for the ARs. 0-3 to start, 0-6 combined. We discussed how great it could be for the Ravens to get a W here, but it's going to have to be a team effort. It was the SMGs who shined. What, versus New York? The ARs, they have to have that same type of presence, as Alex will walk away with the first blood there on to Formal. And Alex did have a little bit of a slower performance in that raid hardpoint. We talked about his impact, how great he can be for this team. He was the ultimate difference maker, and what put the Ravens in such a prime position. So he'll look to lead the way now with the objective over at the A site. And it's Ravens with numbers.
Yeah, with 30 seconds left, OpTic knows that the pressure is going to be here towards A. They just have to try to locate this player in Seany, as he's going to be setting up for the late flank. But the first blood's going to come in. Afro is able to at least try to even up the numbers, but Dashy's going to be able to get the trade. 2v2. This is where Seany has to start being aggressive. PaulEhx is able to find one, so now it's a 1v1, and there's only 13 seconds left. Seany might not even be able to plant this bomb. Scump knows. Scump is going to have that awareness in. 5 seconds left. He's going to hear all these sound cues, but he's going to jump behind him. He's going to jump behind him and get perfect timing. Seany is able to walk away with the round. If you're Scump, you're just thinking, all we got to do is hide. This one should be in the bag, but Seany did not give up on the play. He hunts down Scump, uses the comms from his teammates to help with the location of the player, and eventually finds it in the nick of time and is able to close out the round for London. There goes one on the board.
Oh man, Seany had to sprint to get that one. I mean, what, it came down to just mere seconds. I tell you what, I mean, it's kind of an odd play considering that Seany was literally not in the fight whatsoever. But obviously his teammates set him up for the 1 versus 1. They get the information on Scump being toward outer bricks, and he gets the job done. Maybe not in the cleanest of fashion, stud, but hey, a round is a round, and you'll take it considering that you would have been down 4-0 to start. With that, now it's Chicago's turn to wield the bomb once more. And it is going to be in Scump's hand. And dropping to that 1v1 versus Seany, his hope at streaks, potentially, are going to be out the window for the time. But a much slower start to this round as both teams really looking for picks.
Yeah, so right now, OpTic, they just have London all over the map. People are rotating back and forth between bombs. They're trying to figure out what's the game plan from OpTic. And it's looking like they're going to try to be aggressive on towards B. They just have to locate this player in Afro because he's in a great position to at least cause some problems.
He's got to hear that.
And towards this window area.
Oh, come on!
You gotta win that. You gotta win that if you're Afro. But unfortunately, the King makes it look easy. Now man advantage in front of M4 OpTic.
And it was just choked. Oh my goodness. That was That's not allowed. That is not allowed. Alex. Oh, he doesn't see him planting the bomb. This is not a good round for Ravens. We just got to end that round out. That was not pretty, Study. That was not pretty at all. Let's just act like that didn't happen. All right?
Yeah,
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. We didn't see the ground bomb. You know, we didn't get the first kill. You know, we had the gunfight advantage. It's all right. Just put that one behind. But OpTic are able to walk away with the round. They dominated. It's okay. It's okay. But I'm looking at, so far for London, down 1-4. PaulEhx and Seany, the AR duo, not really having a good game so far. They need to try to step up and at least tie this series up at one apiece, because you go down 2-0, it's going to be really difficult. These are two maps back-to-back that they were able to find wins for the very first time in the last series they played for. So this is going to be difficult. They had to try to get back into this game.
And a round is desperately needed after what we just witnessed there in that round number 5. But if the Ravens decide to force this one over at B, be more confident, I guess you could say, in terms of their readings, it wouldn't work out for the best. So Dashy, the papers begin to fly throughout the carpets. He will be able to give some information to his teammates, but is it just a farce? Is it true? Is it real? Time to find out. Slowly but surely, the Ravens continue to make their way up toward that back boulevard. Alex getting all the more comfortable with the front side of this van. But Formal, all the superior, taking him down, making him have to wait a little bit longer in traffic. Putting him in somewhat of a bind. Paul not able to win the fights there versus Scump. Seany will take one down there with the nade. And once more, it is on to Afro in the 1 versus 2. And that will be 2 quick kills, now to bring us to a 1v1. It was literally just the same situation a round ago where Afro takes down Dashy. But the timing, it's all going to come down to the timing. Just toward his side, Envoy is able to win the 1v1, and that has to hurt if you're the Røkkr in that spot, Stud. As we mentioned, obviously realizes he has to go for the plant, waits as long as possible. And despite what is, 2-3 kills in the round from Afro, just does not give himself enough time. Did everything he could, but it's now OpTic up 5-1.
Yeah, OpTic, they just had perfect crossfire set up. Like, they thought that their opening for the London side was on street. They thought Dashy was the only player here. But Formal puts himself in towards top police, watches that street side, able to get that kill, and then eventually Dashy gets into play. Trades going back and forth, and OpTic, they're just running away so far with this search and destroy. Up 5-1, the aggression is going to be turned on as they're going to have all 4 players approaching this A-bomb site. Trophy's sitting there blocking a couple tacticals, but here comes Envoy to start it off, able to get one. PaulEhx answers with 2 of his own, though. Formal eventually takes down 1, and then Seany eventually will get into the play. It's a 1v1, kills going back and forth. Seany gets the perfect timing there with the DMI. He comes up Eskies and is able to win the round for London. That was such a quick round, back and forth trades between both, but PaulEhx really going huge in this round for the London Royal Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, that too essentially allows for, Seany to even have a place in that round. So, they obviously pepper up enough Chicago players for what? I mean, Ravens have 2-round victories, and both of them involve Seany not necessarily being in the play, but getting involved in the play late and just clutching out and winning a big fight. So, with that, like I said, the Ravens not necessarily handling OpTic from the front, but at least delaying enough time for pinches to be able to come on through, and Seany will continue his heroics, taking down Dashy to start, and there's Afro with the second. So a quick 4v2. I mean, we're just mere seconds into the round, and not only do Ravens have man advantage, but Envoy finding himself on the flank as he and Scump going to join alongside each other. Not waving the white flag by any means. This could be a huge round for them going to the control. If OpTic were able to take this, they're able to clutch it out, but a Scump will be dropped. Can Envoy come through with one of the craziest clutches of the entire season? Unfortunately, it's going to be a no-go, and for the 3rd time, is Seany winning the final fight to give the Ravens the round.
They're staying alive, man. They are attacking the middle of the map. They're trying to stay away from Envoy and Scump at that A-bomb site because their aggression and the way that they're shooting right now, they're not losing gunfights. So they attack the middle of the map. They're able to find Dashy and Formal, and they just hit that rotation over there towards B. Great round right there out of London to use what was available to them in that round to close it out. Still alive in this game, down 3-5.
And I feel like, Study, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when you're the team, like OpTic, we start off 5-0, or in this case, you start off 5-1. Once you hit 5-3, you're like, okay, guys, I know all the antics we've been up to, that's fine. We try to make the aggressive play here, but, I feel like 5-3 is like the threshold. You're like, okay, we need to kind of, you know, tighten up a little bit, sit up a little bit higher in our chairs, and make sure we don't allow for this comeback to happen.
Yeah, 5-3 is that turning point, because then it puts you in a situation where you're going to go onto a defense or go onto an offense. Then if you get to a 5-5, it's going to be really difficult. But OpTic still in the command of this round. Envoy, the only player at this A bomb site, but Afro is actually going to try to be aggressive. He might have got good timing on Envoy, but he's such a great player. He's going to turn around and anticipate that play. He's able to get the first blood, but Seany answers with one of his own. Now it's a 3v3.
Well, then PaulEhx can find the greatest of timings. Will that halt the push from OpTic into the Eskies? No, they decide to pile in regardless as 2 come through. Dashy will win the fight. Now it's into the 2-on-2. 28 seconds left. Is it a rotation from OpTic or is the plant at A? We'll find out if it's the full rotation or not. It appears it will be. Seany once more put in a position to succeed, as that will be 5 in a row for him. As now it all comes down to the King, able to find one, but it's the trade. Seany, despite dropping there, sets up aLLeY for success. From what was 5-1, now to 5-4. Seany continuing to play big here for the Ravens in the midst of this comeback.
They're coming back round after round. London are still sticking around in this game, man. And that was just such a huge kill on the side of Scump, though, onto Seany, because he was on a 5 spree. Seany picks up that kill. He's on 6, 1 away from picking up some streaks that can completely change this game. So even though OpTic lost that round, Scump with a huge kill to at least end it, to not allow Seany picking up those streaks. But for London, back on the offense. This time around, Scump is going to actually switch it up. Him and Envoy not going to be that army of 2 over there towards that A-bomb site. Scump is going to decide to help Dashy over here towards B, but London, the way that they're playing it, they're trying to spot for some information, trying to see if any aggression is going to come in from the OpTic boys.
That's right at the start. I mean, again, in this S&D, it was Afro and aLLeY having a great performance. Now you see Paul putting up a few kills, Seany now getting involved as well, and just how quickly things turn around from the Ravens when this team all fires as one unit. See them in the center of the map. Still deciding, is it going to be the A push or is it going to be B? PaulEhx in the first engagement takes the first blood. Escapes with a sliver of HP, but with that play, due to OpTic splitting 2-2, they will have, without a doubt, numbers now at this A site, but take a look at the one man who could spoil it all. It's going to be Envoy, but they read him. They know exactly where he's hiding. It's the combination of Paul and Afro who are able to put together one. Scump takes down 2 in reply. What an unbelievable play. He takes down the 3rd with the nade, as now it's all down to Seany. Gets taken down in the backside. As now it's Dashy versus Seany. He can't play it, and it's going to be a round victory, and it's going to be a W for OpTic. What a crazy round here for the King, as we'll get to watch it again for good reason. Once that he gets a little bit of a leg there onto aLLeY, takes down Paul onto the bomb, and with a sliver of HP, tosses out a nade, says a prayer, and takes down 3 players in 4 seconds. What plays there out of Scump to finalize what was an amazing search and destroy game for him.
That was a 2v4. That was a 2v4 situation. I cannot believe that the King just did that in that final round right there, man. London, they opened up with the first blood onto Formal. Then eventually they did a great job of just not losing track of Envoy. They know that Envoy likes to play that outscored towards A, and they take care of him. Now it's a 4v2. You just have to stop the pressure that comes in from the backside of the spawn, and just to say it, if London would have, if the guy's feet was a little bit smaller for that bomb plant, it's probably going to be a closed out round for London, but Scump, he's able to find one, and then perfectly reads the player on PaulEhx into the second, and then the perfect time nade on to the 3rd, man. Dashy hits that guy with a couple bullets, that's why he's weak, but wow, I cannot believe they just clutched that up in that final round.
Yeah, as you mentioned, man, aLLeY maybe just a size less in the shoe department. Maybe things could have been different, but let's go ahead and revisit that round with our U.S. Army tactical place. I mean, Stan, walk me through it. How is this even possible from Scump?
So, like, Scump is all the way at the opposite side of the bomb. He's all the way at B at this point. So, it's going to take some time for him to wrap back. But PaulEhx opens up with the first blood. So, now there's 30 seconds left. They know that Envoy loves to play that outskirt. So, they do not rush this bomb plant. They know that he's going to be here. So, they solo him out. Eventually, they pick up this kill. Just great work out of London. So, now this is what you have to think about that 4v2 situation. You have both players who are sitting going through the back of their spawn. This is where I'm looking at Seany like, you got to be a little quicker, buddy. You got to try to get into this play because they're trying to be aggressive, trying to keep you off this bomb, not allowing a bomb plant to happen. But Scump is able to find two. And then great shots from Dashy in towards that back alley. Was able to get that guy weak. The nade comes in, is able to hit it. And then at that point, when Seany's able to get back into the play, since he was all the way across the map, he can't even plant it. So it's just great work from OpTic. Great clutch from Bruce and Scump right there to close that out. But wow, if you're London, that one stings.
Oh yeah, that has to hurt, considering they were down 5-1. They're starting to make some comebacks happen, but it's that man there, Scump, going huge, and that round number 10 takes down 3 players in a good, what, 4 to 5 seconds. Amazing plays as Chicago now up 2-0. Will it be the sweep, or will we have at least a game 4 in our hands? Make sure to stay with us as it's Raid up next.
Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
The official Seany Call of Duty League eyewear is here. Head to seany.com/CDL to choose from all 12 team branded collections and get your signature Call of Duty League frames. Every pair comes with an exclusive case and cloth for your team style or signature league style. All of Seany's Call of Duty League eyewear is available with Seany's Blocks lens technology, which armors your eyes against blue light. And I swear that Scump must have that technology as well, considering how that last round went. But folks, make sure, of course, get your Seany's. I mean, I've heard so many people talk about how great that they are. But on topic, we're of course speaking of Scump. Now our Astro Social soundboard this tweet comes through from Hitch. He said, "Seth is wearing my foam runners for today's match because they beat FaZe when he was wearing them. I really am the 5th man, huh? Anything for the squad." Say what, man? I mean, you know, I'm not really a Yeezy foam runner guy myself, but hey, you know what? Superstition is superstition. It's clearly a good luck charm.
Definitely, it has to be, man. If you beat FaZe in those, this is a team that couldn't beat them all year. You put those on, the Hitch has to be the 5th man. Shout out to Hitch holding it down for the squad, and it definitely showed, at least in that last map, because Scump was doing some king-like things, man. That was an insane game number 2.
Would you rock the foam runners, stud? Would you rock the foam runners?
Of course.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I watched Hex's video,
too,
and he said that they were the most comfortable thing he's ever wore. So I'm gonna have to get my hands on a pair here pretty soon.
I mean, they look really comfortable. I don't know if I'd buy a pair. They
look
like
weird.
Crocs. They really do. I mean, you know, shout out Kanye. I don't know. It's not my thing. But you know what, stud? I don't know. Maybe I could. What size are you? Like, you know, you wanna go in on together on a pair? Maybe.
I'm your size. I'm your size.
All right. Okay.
My size.
Maybe we'll roll the champs. You know, I'll wear one. You wear the other. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good.
Oh boy. As we said, we'll see if Scump. Like I said, maybe the foam runners can make all the difference. We'll see how he plays in this control. But as we said, folks, if you're just joining us, OpTic starting things off quite well. It was a solid hardpoint performance. Followed up by some crazy search and destroy. And what could be the final map of the day. Been a crazy day. The second series could be quicker than we thought, as the Ravens starting things off the defensive end. Lillian nade flies right past PaulEhx's glasses. With that, it will be Chicago claiming control over an A for a moment.
Yeah, but London doing a great job of just answering with the kills. They do a great job of just eliminating them from that point. So now OpTic have to fight out of their spawn. PaulEhx still trying to hold down in the middle of the map. Some great shots out to Envoy. But so far, the pressure's here from London. They're not allowing this A point to get captured so easily, as kills are still going in their favor in towards the kill feed. OpTic, they're trying to fight out of Art, and so far, London are not allowing anything to happen.
Not allowing any of it, keeping them backside of Art as Formal Envoy with the dash their way through. And with that, what started off as a nice little play over at the A zone, now look to try and continue. Again, not too much noise being made over at B, but what, I believe it's player 6, player 8, both Dashy and Scump making some presence felt there over at the pillar side. So with Scump's positioning being where it is, it could cause some issues for the Ravens off of spawn. As that A zone will be cleared, that kitchen presence could cause some issues as Paul will finally wipe Scump off the map. But again, it's that play where he just tries to delay Ravens as much as off spawn as possible. He does that, and that will allow for OpTic to have an easier time at capturing A. Now, a minute added to their time.
Yeah, and they have a 2 live advantage as well, so it's all about if they can secure this, push through the backside, but a great nade and a great team shot coming in from Alex. At least find 2. Formal still in his backside, trying to cause some problems for the Royal Ravens players, but see number 1 off spawn, PaulEhx, he's going to spawn up, shoot him right in the back, and once again, London have full control. They just have to try to locate this player in Afro, who's sitting outside of the ledge of this bedroom area. Envoy's actually going to read it, but still lose the gunfight. Afro trying to stay alive for as long as he can.
Give him style points at the very least. It was nice attempt, but at the very end, you got 3 players in those green jerseys just staring you down. It only lasts for so long, but 43 seconds left. Ravens have done well so far to hold off this onslaught of OpTic. When will it start to turn the pace? Foam Runners fueling Scump for the time, but does get shut down just outside of kitchen. That'll be his final resting place. Another member of T2P, Formal, still hanging out, but not gaining any time, so that clock will continue to tick away. Continuing to be the back of the minds of the Chicago players as they've got to get something going. Scump with the first, Envoy with the second, but here comes Envoy for what could be the 3rd and 4th. Afro, the final player alive, and now it's Chicago's turn to stack the point. They've got 2 players up, 2 players off of spawn. It is a 5 versus 11 in terms of life count. The Ravens, that may not even be their concern right now, as Scump has found a lane. That's going to be 2, make it the 3rd, and with that, it will be the point you'd like to think. Chicago come through in a major way, and once more, it is Scump playing spoiler. Chicago answering with the opening offense.
That was just well-timed right there out of Scump. He knows that eventually the pressure has to come in from bottom basketball. That is where they're going to try to break in from. So he took control of that top balcony window. No one rotates towards him. Formo's going to give the call out that multiple people on basketball, and it sets up the beautiful pinch coming in from the King. And that was just great work from OpTic. Slowly but surely, just keeping map control, maintaining that live advantage, needing 1 push, 1 break to get in, and they get the job done there. OpTic walk away with the offense.
Walking away with it in solid fashion. Scump now sitting at 10 and 4. I guess it's the Foam Runners. You know, it's not his skill, his years of of consistency, being one of the greatest players in Call of Duty history. Nah, it's just it's the shoes. It's like a Mike situation,
I know exactly what you mean. I like Mike's situation. Turn the guy into Michael Jordan. I don't think it's gonna be that drastic of a change because Scump is one of the best players to ever touch Call of Duty. He's just doing what he does best.
You bring up a fair point. All right, I'll give it to you.
Doing what he does best, But back into the round we go. London with some early aggression on towards the speed point. Not able to get the first tick. They do have the live advantage currently, but it's only a matter of time before this pinch is gonna get set up from OpTic as you have 1 player approaching those water steps.
This is going to be Afro. We could play big here for the time. Alex is going to win the major fight there versus Scump. And PaulEhx, very much aware of Envoy's positioning. He's been trying to deal with him for the last, feels like 20 to 30 seconds. London still walking away with the time for the moment. Chicago, they've got to try to break in or just realize that, hey, maybe the focus needs to be at the other side of the map. A few players try to make their way in from water steps. They get shut down. But it will leave the point vacant for the moment. PaulEhx spawning just the elbow of Formal, and weakens him up enough to the point where Chicago, they've got to go for the break, and it's Scump who comes through with 2, Formal with the other 2, a clean wipe from the Ravens as T2P signed their signature here in round number 2. 40 seconds left, and now the Ravens are somewhat left to scramble. Formal able to take another one before he drops. Envoy on the instant reply, he gets cut down as well. Ravens may have found the lane despite the heroics coming in from OpTic. Have they delayed just enough? Scump finds the heal, but it's Ravens who look to find the point.
Yeah, so Ravens are able to close that out, and a little bit frustrated with OpTic because Dashy, the entire time that cap was going down at B, he was just making sure that no players are going to spawn out towards A. He was all the way pushed up through Art, but I would have liked to see him hit a little flank there. Probably try to secure that B point because we all know that is the hardest point you have to try to secure on this map. But they get the hard job done now. So now it's tied at lives with a minute left on the clock. You have a couple players from London trying to approach the backside of Kitchen. But Scump, he's trying to read it. Some early shots do come in. It's all about just making sure that you're wasting this clock. Because so far, London, they're trying to set up a perfect break. And the more time that they're wasting, OpTic is not too mad about it.
Mentioned the time. It started to cause some problems. That was really the biggest issue for Ravens in that search and destroy. Was a matter of maybe just delaying hits, not taking the timing as quickly as they needed to. Maybe perfect timing right now for the Ravens as Scump is able to take down PaulEhx. Afro on the return is able to clear out Laundry, and so the final few players from OpTic making their way in from not just the flank but also from pillars. See how quickly the Ravens can look to read this as Afro escapes with 15 HP. A little bit of a bait and switch situation, whether it was intended or not. It does for the moment work out as Afro will extend his spree now to 5. The other SMG coming to play. It's Dashy with 5. It's Afro with 5. And Dashy drops instead of bottom Art. So 14 seconds left and the Ravens have got to make something happen. But what a great situation this could be for London if Afro were able to put in this 6th and 7th kill. He's the sole man onto the point. This is probably the last guy that you want to be in this position, but he takes down Formal to start. The clock has stopped at 12 and some change. Ravens over 2/3 of the way from walking away with the offense as well. Afro holding it down by himself. He does earn the first streak. Can he find the second? Taking down Scump. That will be 7 in a row for him. And a great reply from London. Back-to-back attack victories.
That was just such a great round from London. They knew the situation at hand. They knew that they did not have any art control. So they slowly worked around towards back Laundry. And then eventually, once they took control of that, then they started to fight those gunfights in towards art, winning the majority of them. I'm pretty sure Dashy didn't die for like 4 straight minutes. Like, the guy was not dying the entire map. But eventually, they find him. They're able to eliminate that play out of art, keep control of Laundry to swan all those players from OpTic towards lower basketball, and eventually close out the round with Afro picking up some streaks, which can be a huge point for his team.
Yeah.
At least try to extend this series a little bit. But now back on the defense they go. They cannot allow OpTic to have such a great start as they did last time, because OpTic, they had 1 person challenge towards A and 3 people challenge towards middle. But now with some streaks in the back of their mind, you have to just win a majority of these gunfights, and that's exactly what's going to happen as they do find 2, make it 3. Now OpTic once again have to fight out of their spawn early into this map.
A little bit of ring around the rosy toward Raid, Envoy. I don't know how they haven't sparred each other yet. This is ridiculous! Okay, Envoy finally drops. Afro, of course, finding the kill. Like I said, those streaks for the Ravens, I mean, that can kind of instill you with an extra bit of confidence that you may not have map control, but you just have the ability to say, you know what, we can take a risk here. We can allow for this team to push up toward this perspective because we know at the very least we've got the streaks. As the Scottish turret ends up getting taken down toward the backside of Mansion. Ravens, as we mentioned, just seem to be having some new life here in this control. You gotta imagine if they could have aLLeY just continue to turn up the way that we know he can. Sits at 11 and 21. A little bit of a better performance from him could be the difference maker and what sends us to a possible game 4. Afro pings the streak. Now the fights begin to commence.
Yeah, so London, they're just going to ping it, force a couple OpTic players to get out of their position and try to play a little safe as they thought it was going to get called in. But London do a great job of just responding, picking up a lot of kills over at that speed point. OpTic only able to secure 1 segment there, but now that leaves the opening for A. Scump was able to find a kill towards the middle of the map, but if they locate this player in aLLeY, this should be a free A capture on the side of OpTic. They pick him up, but Scump's still trying to cause problems in towards the middle of the map, and this can be great. They cannot spot him. Fortunately, he's going to get spotted, dropped, and now OpTic, they just have to focus on getting this A captured and extending time by a minute.
A minute 39 on the clock. 5 count, not too impacted by any means. 19-17 in favor of London. You can just kind of see me. They have like a full 4-point setup. They got players in every single corner of the map right now. Dude, London is Afro. A lovely little 3-spree toward P5. Excellent plays coming in from him. As we mentioned, he's still got 2 streaks to work with. It's terrifying. You may just have to call one in just to make sure he can earn a secondary. But excellent plays from Afro. Wonderful, wonderful performance so far throughout round 2 and so far in round number 3. Instead, we talk about it constantly. This guy in Afro just has moments in every single series where he just takes over, and right now he's doing exactly that. That'll be 5 in a row, making it 20-11 right now for him.
Yes, now if you're Afro, you start to get in the back of my mind. I'm probably going to get another set of streaks here, so I might have to use mine. And with that player coming on spawn, he's actually not going to notice. So Dashy's going to be able to win that engagement. And OpTic actually get onto the point as well. They eliminate all the pressure from London, at least from the top side. And that's going to be a complete, like, blind shot. There's no ping on that, so he might not be able to pick up a kill there. And Envoy, he's just going to capitalize on it as he's still finding kills left and right. Eventually, they do a good job from basketball, eliminating 3 players from OpTic. And with only 30 seconds left, they have a comfortable 7 live advantage in that live column. All they have to do is just keep the pressure on towards the middle of the map and not allow OpTic one more good push at this.
Yeah, as you mentioned, one more good push, potentially still on the cards for OpTic Chicago. Keeping in mind, Afro still does have that streak. If he has to call it in, few bullets going away for Alex. But it is Ravens clutching up in the end as this round appears to be going their way up in live count. And with the time ticking the way that it is, Ravens are playing the best way that they can. It cannot be understated, though, Afro is having a performance and a half. And this 3-spree was just one of the many highlights he's had so far throughout Raid Control. I thought he was surely going to be dead in that kill versus Scump, but he makes good art of this time, stud.
Yeah, he does, man. That was an insane 3-piece. I didn't think he had the ability to snap like the way he did onto Scump, because that guy's reaction is A1 steak sauce. Like, the guy knows exactly what he needs to do. He's going to be one of the quickest reaction time players ever. So I was expecting that not to happen, but Afro having himself a map, like you said, man. 21-14, really stepping up for the London boys, trying to keep them alive in this series. It's just a matter of time, though. I'm just waiting for Alex to spawn in, because in that first map, he was -10. So far right now, he finds himself at -12, and that's going to be a nice 3 dead on the side of London, make it 4. So now this is going to allow OpTic to try to get a little bit more aggressive and keep these kills flowing in for the OpTic boys.
That's a great start if you're Chicago. Again, we talked about defense. Really has not been the story so far. It was 2 early attacking victories for both rosters. It even took a streak from Afro just to make sure the Ravens could take it as well. So if you're OpTic, considering the defense should be the preferred spot, but not been the case so far in this game, you will take those entry fights all day long. As Envoy finds himself on his 3 as well. The nice movement to at least trade 1. Great plays coming in from Envoy despite a 1-for-1. But with that, as PaulEhx wipes the point, gets a little bit too quiet as he is the only player toward this water side. And the problem for Ravens as well is that they've only got 23 seconds on the clock. They have got to make a play here soon and now. Envoy on the flank nearly gets cut down there from Alex. A little bit of a shaky fight, but he just continues to stay alive, continuing to cause problems. As we said, the Ravens suffering many, many headaches throughout this series, throughout this game, and specifically throughout this map. As London finally look to surge onto the point, they've got all 4 players here. We'll see if they can cap A.
Yeah, they have to try to extend this clock, man. And this is perfect work right here to the London boys. Afro still picking up kills left and right. Make it 3 down. You have to get on the point, though. You have to extend this clock, and that's exactly what PaulEhx is able to do, as they do know the positioning of Dashy, but that's going to be a clean 4. And just when we thought OpTic had a nice 7 live advantage, it's cut to 3, make it 2, and Afro still has that cruise missile to work with. So London have put themselves in the driver's seat to try to close this out. Scump has to try to go big in this kitchen area, though.
Ends up finding 1 for his troubles, but again, it's Afro with the 5-spree. Continuing to cause problems now for OpTic. 45 seconds left. Afro will decide to go and call him the streak, but Envoy is going to check his perspective. So hopes and another artillery, much like the streak, are going to come crashing down. And unfortunately, with those streaks, like we said, coming through, nothing really being rewarded. Only positive right now for the Ravens is that you do have Seany toward the backside of jungle. But the rest of his teammates, they're getting slayed out in their base.
Yeah, Dashy's doing a great job of just maintaining that bedroom control. And even though Shawnee's in the backside, the biggest kill so far of the round has to be Envoy in the middle of that streak onto Afro. Because if Afro is able to pick up at least 1 or 2 kills there, he's able to re-up on streaks, and Envoy does not allow that to happen. Scump and Dashy still holding down in the spawn. Envoy knows that Afro is going to be in this spot, able to take him down. In OpTic, when we thought London were in the driver's seat, they did a great job at capturing that 8 point. They had some streaks to use on the backside when they were trying to set up that pinch, but overall, OpTic just hold, man. Envoy with, like I said, the biggest kill of the round right there, eliminating Afro for picking up those second streaks. Yeah. Now we're going into a round number 5.
And that's just really gonna suck, obviously, if you're Afro, because you're like, okay, I'm gonna call in streaks. Yeah. We're gonna be good. And then right as you like fade away, obviously into like your pilot position once you're driving the streak, you're just like, oh no, oh no. Envoy picks him apart, and with that, we head to a round 5. Series point here for OpTic Chicago. Victory here would claim this one in a 3-0 and better their chances of what should be a first seed in this group, as long as this victory does go their way. But if we know anything about this Ravens roster, they are not going to go down without a fight. As we mentioned, so much still to play for. Instead, this is a team that's only won 1 raid control. With how great that Chicago has been on raid control, not just recently, but throughout their entire season, it's without a doubt impressive that this London team has put up a fight as much as they have. As Paul finds a nice 3 to start.
And this is going to be great for London because now they have the live advantage. They're picking up some early progression on towards B. And we saw them last time they were able to capture this point first. They won the offense. So they have to try to do it again. But this time Dashy is going to be in the play. Opens up with 1. Scump eventually is going to set up for the pinch. Finds 1 as well. So far, kills just going back and forth. They eliminate all these players from the London side at this B point. So now you have to cut the map and get towards A. But they're doing a great job of just spawn killing them all. Not one player from OpTic has eventually dropped until Envoy in that situation. But just, the clock is still ticking, man. London have to try to get up on the map and extend this clock by a minute by capturing this A point.
Dashy drops. Again, he at least takes 1 player with him. Formal and Envoy combined for 2. That's going to be 3 straight down for the Ravens. Last player in the point is going to be aLLeY as he drops. Again, it's a Chicago applying the pressure. You see how much they want to try to get inside of that Ravens base, and because of that push-up, it is now going to be spawning London toward that top mansion position. But again, if you're OpTic, you place yourself so well. You've got such great map control. You can sit inside of water steps. They've got every angle nearly locked down as Dashy combines for 2 once more. 29 and 17 for him. Final 13 seconds, and it's going to be a Ravens rotation. Now over toward A, but it's Envoy on the flank. Nearly takes down the second. aLLeY staying alive. 3 players strong right now from the Ravens, but flank after flank. Formal with 1. Now it's Scump's opportunity. That's going to be 2 straight. Merely make it 3. There goes Paul, and there goes Afro. 7 seconds. What it's going to need to be a buzzer beater type of play for the Ravens, as they will make their way on to B to stop the clock at 3.1 seconds. But you look at the life count, you look at where this one sits, and you have to imagine it's gonna go the way of the boys in green. A clean 3-0 sweep and a 4-0 start here in stage 5.
And I'm pretty sure they secured that #1 seed for the major as well, man. So OpTic, they are not letting up. They wanted to come in here and handle business, and that's exactly what happened. Obviously, the first 2 maps were a little closer than expected. Even this map number 3 was close. Like, London, they're looking really good, even though they lost it in the 3-0 series. Because OpTic, they're coming off of that fresh win versus FaZe. You got to be thinking their momentum is going to be riding really high. But London, they kept those maps really close, even though it was a 3-0. When you're looking at OpTic right now, securing that first seed, they just have to continue to work on little things, because obviously there's a couple rounds in that search and destroy that they wish they can have back. Obviously, when you're going up against the best teams, 2v4s are not going to happen as constant. But at least in this series, OpTic were dominating. That first respawn, they came back and fought back into it. The search and destroy, they started off strong, and eventually were able to close it out in the clutch moments. And then even in that control, when OpTic went down 2-1, they did the right things. Envoy picking up that kill still onto Afro was the biggest kill of the map for me, because it doesn't allow Afro to pick up those streaks. And then eventually OpTic are able to secure that defensive round going into that round number 5. And it was just a great series from OpTic from top to bottom. But if you're looking at London, aLLeY, I don't know what happened. Like, we watched him last week. He came in at 1.8, but here, -22 on his control is not what you need to do for this team. He needs to try to find some consistency in his gameplay.
Not a good day on the controller for Alex, as we said. I mean, it was good moments from Ravens at times, but just in these big moments, as we discussed, I mean, it was just the big moments kind of toward the stretch, the players who had the more ice, who obviously came up big, and in terms of the entire team, atmosphere, it was Chicago winning those fights every single time. So a solid victory here in the books for them, but we also still have to take a look at our scuff play of the game. And so the guy who I feel like we've been talking about since the series started, we talked about him in our social soundboard as well. It is the King being featured in our scuff play of the game.
Like, the guy's just always in the right position. Even though his teammate dropped formal with them great team shots, able to find one. And he finds the two on the flank, turns around and picks up the third. It was just easy work for the King. When you're feeling yourself like this in this SMG role, every single gunfight is going to become easy, especially when you're Scump. The guy's one of the best to do it ever. So he just made it look easy today in this SMG role, regardless of the game mode. Really stepped up in the search and destroy, popping 3 pieces every round. And you could just tell, man, OpTic, they're riding this wave. They love where they're at right now, finally peaking that final form going into our last 2 events, and it couldn't be better for them.
Yeah, you have to imagine the foam runners are without a doubt going to stay on Scump's feet, as it has been a solid 2 wins back-to-back, but as we mentioned, it is a 4-0 start for this OpTic Chicago team, still with the LA Thieves to face off against in just a matter of days. But again, the big storyline around OpTic has been, a matter of this being, I believe it will be, if they do lock up that first seed, their first time having the first seed here in the entirety of the season. They've been in Atlantic FaZe's group 3 different times. And now making good on their 3rd. It should be OpTic, who of course does outfinish Atlanta FaZe in regards to this and how everything looks. And then, man, I feel like OpTic has constantly talked about, Stud, when it comes down to that major, the biggest problem that they've had has been the slow starts. They've made runs through the elimination bracket. So of course, starting guaranteed in top 3, looking good here for, of course, a first seed, and probably guaranteed a first seed. They just look to be in a much better position given the way that their history really has looked. But folks, we got to talk about it, right? We have to kind of keep in mind, not just as the major on our minds, but also is going to be championship weekend playoffs and championship Sunday, folks. Tickets are now on sale. It'll be live at the Galen Center August 19th through the 22nd. Myself and Study will be heavily looking forward to seeing every single one of you in those seats. It is going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. And one guy who's also going to be there is going to be King Scump, as he's got to be feeling good. Had a wonderful series today, walking away with a 3-0, as he'll be joined alongside by Lottie after the break.
very much. Appreciate it.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Unlock a CDL team pack with any purchase on gamefuel.com/CDL. while supplies last. Offer ends on August 31st. Tournament audio and team listen-ins are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Hello everybody and welcome to your Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. Joining me I have the Green Wall's finest, Scump from OpTic. Scump, first of all man, I've got to say congratulations. Great win from you guys yet again. Before I get into business though, I have to ask you about your footwear. I've heard you have quite the ritual now, especially after the FaZe game. How did you get into this ritual? Tell me about the footwear. What is going on?
Yeah, Hector just gave me his foam runners before the FaZe series, and I think that they are absolutely hideous. But they're definitely super comfortable. I actually wore Davis's today, so I'm just taking everyone else's shoes for our matches. But yeah, I mean, if it's getting us dubs, I'm going to keep on the superstition train and keep rocking them.
I love that, man. Hey, look, expensive superstition, but I appreciate you getting the dub across the board, and it's going to have to be a tradition from now on, I think, Seth. I think you're stuck now. You're stuck. Now, you guys obviously...
I don't know how I feel about it.
Hey, you can make anything look good. You're on OpTic. You're all good. Now, you guys went out and obviously beat FaZe last week. I'd love to see a green pair. And being FaZe last week, you know, you guys caused a storm across the Call of Duty scene. It was absolutely incredible. Honestly, one of my favorite matches I think I've watched so far this season. Now, does a W like that add pressure to a match like this and kind of, you know, in your heads as a team, you know, you beat the #1 team in the Call of Duty League at the moment, and you're playing against London, who haven't even qualified for champs. Does it add pressure thinking to yourselves, like, we have to win this match now? We just beat the #1 team?
Nah, not really. I mean, the only thing that we were thinking about was we really wanted the first seed, and that has been our goal, obviously, since the group stages have started. So we were just really thinking about just getting over the match and getting that first seed in whatever way possible. That's really all you can think of. I wouldn't say it's added pressure on us, because at this point we really have nothing to lose with the way that our seasons went. So we're just going in every match, just trying to stick to the fundamentals and keeping our communication really calm and just having a conversation, and it's really paying off for us. So I don't think there was any extra pressure on us at all.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've done just that. You really have secured #1 seed already. And you can make it 5-0 as well later on in the week against LA Thieves. How are you guys approaching this matchup against the Thieves? You know, obviously making it 5-0, a perfect clean record heading into the major. But how are you using it as well as practice when you do head into that winners bracket?
I mean, we're just going into it like another match. We really need the 10 points. The race for that second seed for champs, I mean, FaZe got it, you know, in the bag weeks and months ago. But second seed is definitely huge. So we're playing for the points at this point. Every single match matters. We're not sleeping on any team. So it's going to be a good match. I got my man Nate shot over there over at 100 Thieves. So it's always a fun time to play them.
Love to hear it, man. I love that you're still gunning for that #2 seed. I think, honestly, with the way you're playing, you're heading in the right direction, and I love to see OpTic back at it again. Thank you so much for your time, Scump, and best of luck.
Yep. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, we've heard from the king himself, and I tell you what, OpTic are trending in the absolute right direction, and I am also going to head in the direction of our HQ desk where Nameless is waiting for me. We're going to be breaking down everything we've seen from day one and talk about all of the juicy details that we have had delivered all day long. Don't want to miss it. We'll see you there. Day one of the Seattle home series may be over, but we've had a lot of juicy details about some of our teams after today. So take a look at the Group A standings. Now, OpTic sit at 4-0. Yes, it is clean AF. They've sealed #1 seed in their group. They have one match left versus LA Thieves and looking to finesse their gameplay before heading into Major 5. Now, talking about OpTic, and first of all, welcome. I've missed you all day long on this desk. I really have. It's been pretty lonely. It's been pretty lonely, especially Jay in the casting booth. Now you're finally back. It's good to see you, brother. Now, obviously, we saw OpTic play Ravens, coming off a win against FaZe in that series. And did you notice any of the improvements from last week? Did they put anything into practice that you were hoping to see coming into this week? And how did they execute it?
Yeah, it just looks like OpTic is building on the foundation that they've built against Atlanta FaZe. You know, what Scump said, he said there wasn't any added pressure, but, you know, as a competitor, I've been there before. When you beat a really big team like that, you know going into that next match, you absolutely cannot lose to one of the teams that are in the bottom 4. And they showed that today. They were on point. They didn't make any mistakes. We were watching that hard point, and I was just like, this is a situation that OpTic gets in sometimes where they fumble the bag, where they're not able to break. So you're going to see right here, OpTic, they spawn out. It's 130 to 160, a pivotal point in the game, mind you, where Ravens can get a big lead, start to build up some streaks and things like that, but OpTic, they stay poised, they stay in control, they rotate around the back through laundry right now, and you can see on your mini map they're in a unit right now. This is exactly what you want. You want to cause chaos back here, get into a trade situation, because now you're in the back, you're going to get those spawns. Now, on top of just winning the trade sequence, they get inside of the hill, they get the last guy, and they pick up a good 39 seconds on this hill, which is just massive. On their first break, they're able to execute exactly as to game plan. That's something OpTic was not doing throughout the first half of the season. The first 3/4 of the season, they weren't able to execute plays like that on a consistent basis. And this map, I mean, it was back and forth, but when OpTic needed to break, they were breaking those hills. So shout out to them and the improvements that they've made, because they look damn good right now.
They do look damn good right now, and I think every single individual is fulfilling what they should be doing on the map at one time. And honestly, it's beautiful to watch. I think OpTic right now have that finesse, they have that level of teamwork there. They've been working on it all season, and it's come just at the right time. And yeah, Greenwall, I'm sure you love to see it. Now, obviously, nameless NYSL, it's been a bumpy road for this team, and first game without Clayster this time round. Now, moments ago on the TL, Asim tweeted this. Check out our Astro Social soundboard. Obviously, this is quite an interesting kind of gas up, and I appreciate the self-love here. Team captain, IGL, shot caller, bomb carrier, engineer, shot caller again. Route man, entry, objective SMG, Asim. Mr. Do It All with that hashtag at the end. I didn't know hashtags existed anymore, but apparently they do. And I got to ask you, what do you get from that kind of message from Asim here?
Yeah, I mean, he's giving himself some applause, right? And he has to, because he really stepped up to the plate. To me, this shows that there were some frustrations in the squad when Clay was on it. Obviously, maybe Clay didn't agree with the way they were playing, or they didn't agree with the way that he was receiving it in practice and things like that. So he steps down and takes a break, and now they're looking at it like, okay, what are we going to do? Well, I'm just going to rise to the occasion, and he did just that. They get the win today, just basically saying, we don't need him to do this. We can do this with this squad. The fans believe in us because we're capable, and that's what they showed today. Everybody had their moments throughout this series. We saw Asim turn it up. Mack had a hell of a series, right? DC coming in, he had a decent series as well. And then HyDra with the hard carry on this first map for this comeback, it was incredible. That was one of the best solo performances that we've seen throughout the entire season, starting off the series on a good note.
Yeah, I gotta say, with Asim especially, you know, those were big shoes to fill. He said that on the interview, and I agree with him. They're very big shoes to fill. He filled them tremendously, especially coming in straight hot off of a change of scene in Dallas. You know, he's been through quite a lot individually. And I think also, if you don't believe in yourself, and I've said this before, then you're not going to pull it off. You're not going to do well, especially this late in the game. And I've got to say, I actually appreciate the self-love, the gas there. I think having that confidence, having that fire is hopefully going to drive this team to what they want to achieve here. I think it's going to be a tough road, but it's going to be an interesting one. And speaking of the road ahead as well, nameless, Asim seems to think Clay isn't coming back. You know Clay pretty well. What do you think the chances are?
He's got to come back, right? Like, take your break, get your mind right, whatever you got to do. You know, it's a tough spot to be in, but like, you have to come back for these guys. This is your squad. These guys are rookies. They were learning from you all season long. You guys have an incredible run. And just to be quite frank, I don't think they're going to win with Diamondcon on the roster. But this right here, this passion that they showed today, shows that they have potential to be the team that they once were. So for Clay, sitting back, watching this, I mean, he didn't even let out a tweet today, which is a little bit concerning. I don't know the frustrations there, how deep it goes. But I would hope that he comes back after he gets his mind right to get these guys where they need to be. Because I think with Clay, they still can be a championship team. So it'd be an incredible story. I hope he comes back, and he's got a little bit of time to do it.
Yeah, I hope he gets the break that he needs. I hope he gets the reset, but I hope this also lights the fire in his belly to come back and bounce back with the team here as well. Now, folks, you're probably wondering what we've got coming your way tomorrow. If you weren't with us at the beginning of the broadcast, then don't worry, I've got you. Presented by the US Army, of course. So starting off your Friday, Florida Mutineers take on Toronto Ultra. Big match, actually. A bit of a banger, that one, I think. I want to see if Mutineers can kind of take up to the plate here, that Toronto Ultra offer here. Are they going to be eating off it, or is it on the floor? I don't know. We've got Seattle Surge versus Dallas Empire ending your Friday as well. Dallas Empire, I think this is going to be a pretty bumpy road for Surge, but they do need the points here as well. So hopefully they can close that one out with not too much grief. I'll tell you what though, we also do have something special coming up as well. We've got Major 5, of course, and we need to talk about it. It's a big one, and if you're wondering when that is happening, it's the 29th to August 1st. It is coming up. You can get your tickets, you can tune in. It's going to be starting at the regular times that we normally have our broadcast, so if you can't make it, then you can of course tune in on YouTube. Now, before we go, you know, who would I be if I couldn't keep up with birthdays? I gotta wish a happy birthday to Patrick, or better known as the Cleaner. He's actually on our observers team. Happy birthday, my dude. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you've had a great time on this Call of Duty League. What more could you want for your birthday, Nameless, huh?
Yeah, let me say this as well. You know, happy birthday, Cleaner. Happy birthday, Patrick. You're a great guy. Love working with you. But also, when you guys see those crazy cool live shots, when it's like a slow motion aerial view of the action going down, that's Cleaner. He kills it, man. So show him some love. Go to Twitter, check him out. All our observers, we love you guys.
It really is a work of art there, being an observer. We absolutely love it. Happy birthday. Now, I'll tell you what, Nameless, it is just about time to say goodbye to the folks at home. I hope you've enjoyed today, and we will see you guys same time, same place tomorrow.
So 40 seconds in this round, a lot of time for both teams to make a play, both teams to make something happen. And of course, it's Mack once more, 9-2, and it all comes down to Aqua. Will Mack seal their fate, or will it be Aqua coming up clutch to send us to an extra round to play? It's on to HyDra, and it will be a W. Put it in the books. The Subliners answer emphatically here in the Game 5. Final 13 seconds, and it's going to be a Ravens rotation. Now over toward A, but it's Envoy on the flank. Nearly takes down the second. Alex staying alive. 3 players strong right now from the Ravens, but flank after flank. Formal with 1. Now it's Scump's opportunity. That's going to be 2 straight. Merely make it 3. There goes Paul, and there goes Afro. 7 seconds. What it's going to need to be a buzzer beater type of play for the Ravens, as they will make their way on to B to stop the clock at 3.1 seconds. But you look at the life count, you look at where this one sits, and you have to imagine it's going to go the way of the boys in green. A clean 3-0 sweep and a 4-0 start here in Stage 5.